long weekend? A long weekend filled with great deals. And with Kohl's Memorial Day sale, you can get $10 off when you spend $25 or more. Earn $5 Kohl's cash for every $25 spent. And save on must-haves for soaking up the sun. From patio essentials to poolside picks and more. So
Talk coming up on The Fan. This is the Talk coming up on The Fan. This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Talk Sports with BT and Sal. Middays 10 to 2. WFAN, WFAN FM, WFAN FM HD1.
That's it, so on Thunder Radio. Good morning. Yeah, at one point the lead was 24. Minnesota tried to make a game of it, but they could not. Pro, maybe your prediction that this entire championship is OKC's to lose could be right, but beyond that, and beyond what happened last night, and Thunder, they go up 2-0 on their home court, so, not yawn, but expected, not against type. Here's a question for you. Just 1 year ago, not long ago, we were making comparisons of Anthony Edwards and Michael Jordan. And while that seemed a little crazy at the time, it was something that was being talked about, not just by, hot takers and, people who you roll your eyes at, but people who legitimately are basketball people as well. It feels like we are getting further and further away from that. And and it's not that Ant doesn't still have jaw-dropping moments and really exciting plays, but when we're talking about who's going to eventually take the torch from LeBron James or Steph Curry as ascending to like the guy in the NBA, I think the idea that it was going to be Anthony Edwards now looks like a mirage.
Well, to be fair, though, people were saying style-wise, he's like Jordan. He has a very similar turnaround jumper, and he has these crazy dunks where he flies through the lane, a la Michael Jordan. I don't think people were saying, you know what I mean. It wasn't exactly like he's the Michael Jordan of the sport.
Well, he hadn't done the winning yet, obviously.
Right, but he still looks like Michael Jordan in a sense. But I think no one, when you look back on those takes, everyone's like, yeah, style. It's kind of like how Cam Ward came out of the draft, the Miami quarterback, and looked like Patrick Mahomes. We weren't saying he's Patrick Mahomes. But anyway, that's beside your point. We were saying, yes, Anthony Edwards could ascend to be the face of the league. And I still think he could. Obviously, this current team is going to have trouble winning. If he's Batman, his Robin is Julius Randle's 30 years old, and you saw the flaws come out last night. Mike Conley's even older; he's 35. So I think that Anthony Edwards to ascend to what we're talking about has to be a championship player. He's definitely not there yet. He can't carry a team alone. He's not quite good enough, like in my opinion, Michael Jordan was. So yeah, but he's 23. I just think that we're not quite sure what the future of Anthony Edwards is. We don't know. The story is not written. This team, as it's currently constituted, is not going anywhere. But how do we know what it's going to look like when he's 27, which is a championship age in NBA?
Okay, so a couple things there. First of all, you're right. He does not have the right cast around him. And even, getting to the Western Conference Finals in back-to-back years, it did feel like these teams were flawed. You did see Julius Randle, not to put everything on him, but he was really good in game one, at least in the first half. He kept them in the game. 2 for 11, 0 for 3. He had 6 points. 6 points. That's not going to do it. Obviously, Jaden McDaniels has been really good as a defensive player, but the whole way and had 22 last night, but the whole way the team is constituted, and to be honest, they said that Anthony Edwards last night broke Kevin Garnett's all-time postseason scoring record in 8 fewer games. Yeah, and it just drove the point home. Yes, Minnesota doesn't have a championship DNA, not even close for the Timberwolves. So are you so sure, when Michael Jordan had to get over the hump against the Pistons or against the Boston Celtics, people didn't like Jerry Krause, but he came in and built a team in two separate, basically, almost two different dynastic teams around Michael Jordan. Do you think that person is coming to Minnesota? Do you think they are going to be able to field a team around Anthony Edwards that's actually going to make him, give a better shot of being the face of the league?
Well, here's the thing. It's the NBA. Now, there used to be an era of dynasties. Now the championship switches every single year. So, yes, I think he's 23. I have no idea what the Timberwolves are going to look like in 5 years. I'll tell you right now, most of the players we saw with him last night will not be there.
Yep.
Some of them are going to age out of the league. I don't think obviously Gobert, Randall, and Mike Conley are not going to be there in 5 years. They'll be retired. So I just think that, I have no idea where this is going to go.
Does he have to leave Minnesota?
Well, I was actually wondering that too. Is he's going to be kind of on a Giannis collision course to get out of a small market? He seems perfectly happy now, but Kevin Durant seemed perfectly happy in Oklahoma City at 23. I just think the story is not written on Anthony Edwards. And even last night, obviously, he's not even close to the best player in this series.
And that's the second
MVP.
year in a row. Because Luka outplayed him last year in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, but I mean, first of all, this team shouldn't even be in the Western Conference Final. They probably would have lost to the Warriors if Steph Curry didn't get hurt. They were the underdogs in that series. So we know the Timberwolves won 49 games this year. There wasn't a lot of – nobody said coming into this playoffs, Anthony Edwards is better win a title or it's going to be a disappointment. They weren't really a thing this year. They kind of fell apart after last year, right? Were we even – thinking about Anthony Edwards when this playoff started? Not at all. He wasn't even part of the narrative.
Well, to be honest, though, it's not like he's going away in our lives. He went to the Western Conference Finals, got badly outplayed by Luka, played on the Olympic team.
Badly outplayed by Luka. He was exhausted at that point. He was carrying that team on his back.
Okay, but we're doing the bar of are you face the league type stuff, so I don't really want to hear fatigue. And then, obviously easy for me to say from the couch, but I'm just saying as an argument. And then the other part, he goes to the Olympic team, believes he's the best player on the team. We'll say that because he's an irrational confidence guy and
definitely
super confident in himself, and that's fine. But didn't really get a ton of burn. When we were talking about crunch time, when it was against Serbia, when it was against France, that was not Anthony Edwards' time. Not even close.
So what?
Well,
what does that have to do with anything?
Well, I'm saying he was on this trajectory rocket ship, and I heard more compliments for Cooper Flagg coming out of that Olympic cycle than I did for Anthony Edwards. And so then you're right.
That's an exhibition game.
No, but here's the thing. Then you're right. They go into this season, and it was nothing. It
right,
wasn't the follow-up, but here they are.
Fell apart.
But here they are, back in the Western Conference Finals. So you're like, all right, here comes the Anthony Edwards engine. We're revving this thing up again. Not the media, him, by his play. Here he is again in the Western Conference Final and getting badly outplayed by the MVP and SGA.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, Anthony Edwards drives into the lane, has 3 defenders on him, kicks it out for a corner 3, and it is a brick every time. Yeah, what do you expect? These guys aren't hitting a shot around him. How many times has he created an open 3?
Well, he can't hit a 3 either. To be fair, he's 1 for 9 last night.
Is there 1 second where anyone is watching anyone on Minnesota except for him? Nas Reed has lost his confidence. There's just nobody else who can hit a shot. Seriously, how many times did he drive in the lane and get an open 3 for people? It must have been at least a dozen, and it amounted to nothing. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
You switch places with SGA and Anthony Edwards in this series, who wins? Because SGA is definitely, I'll give you, he's a better player right now, no doubt. He's 3 years older.
Right.
He's perfect especially with the officials having such a low quality of a low bar, being able to call a player like that.
Oh, it was a foul fest last night.
Yeah.
I mean.
And it's always going to be that. So I was actually thinking about this. What is the one team that could cover Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
The one team that OKC.
OKC.
Yeah.
They would be all over that guy. Minnesota has nobody. Minnesota has Jaden McDaniels doesn't have a chance. If they try,
he's a good defender, but
he really is not that good.
Got frustrated
defender.
last night. Yeah. Pushed Shai in the back, 2 hands.
Yeah, I think that it'd be interesting. I would like to see that series because I will give you SGA's way ahead of Anthony Edwards right now. But I think Minnesota has no defensive answer for him. I think nobody has a defensive answer for him. But OKC would be interesting. So let's talk about face of the league. So if you're not going with Anthony Edwards, are you going to go with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
So this is where you and I will differ on what constitutes an exciting play. And this is where Perloff and I will never agree. I'm curious what the audience thinks at 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. I think you can still be exciting playing the way that Shea plays, and you don't think so. Because he's not a dunker like Jordan was, but he's got the mid-range game. And last night, there was more comparisons for Shea for Jordan and Kobe as far as his mid-range game goes.
Right.
Did you think that Kobe was an exciting player?
Yeah, but Kobe had some of the all-time greatest dunks I've ever seen.
Okay, but, well, I feel like Jordan
Kobe
is more
jump.
remembered as the dunker than Kobe as far as in-game dunks.
Yeah,
Kobe's got a couple of great highlights. This is flying towards the basket on a one-hand jam. I can see it in my mind's eye right now.
Yeah, Kobe would use the rim and do like Dr. J kind of moves. Yeah, no, Kobe was spectacular. I don't think Kobe was much, much more than the mid-range.
Well, okay.
Yeah, he was exciting. Yeah, there's no flair to SGA's game.
See, I don't think so. The body contortion, like this is just where you and I are going to disagree.
Think about what was the highlight last night? What, he backed down Dante DiVincenzo and hit an 8-foot bank shot? Like he's like the guard version of Tim Duncan. There was no highlight last night.
There were cool highlights. Oh, they're up by 220.
Cool highlights. What, a 9-foot jumper? It's like, oh my God, did you see that 9-foot jumper? I got to text this to my friend. What are you talking about? What cool
Contorting his
highlights?
body in the lane, getting and ones. It was exciting. He's just not a 3-point guy or a dunk guy, but I don't think that means he can't be like, look at that crowd. I mean,
What about him?
They're electric there, and they're doing it because of Shea. Yeah, a couple of fun lobs to Chet Holmgren, who looks really good, and that's really fun. But SGA is fine.
I actually was wondering, why is the crowd not moving more? I thought for a second.
They're really loud.
They're loud, but they look so still. I actually got that from you. There's something weird going on.
They're all wearing the same shirt.
Is that why they?
Yeah.
I'm like, why aren't they standing? Like the Knicks crowd is everyone standing up and running around and going crazy. The Thunder are very obedient. The Thunder,
they are.
Yeah, I mean, but what's the difference? Basically, SGA and Luka are the same player. Or either of them. Who's the face of the league? And Jokic, they're MVP types, but to be face of the league, you have to have so much flair and persona. And I just don't see SGA really achieving that. That's why, even though he's not nearly as good a player, Anthony Edwards has a better chance to me.
There is this, it's just like jockeying for position now. This is the second time in my lifetime that we've seen something like this, because it was post-Jordan. People were jockeying for position, and it felt to me like for most of it, Allen Iverson really took a lot of that. Kobe and Shaq had like the dynasty, but as far as jaw-dropping plays,
right.
Charisma for the culture, Iverson was more of like a total package, whereas Kobe and Shaq were like demolishing teams.
So I think what happened when the Jordan void after 98 happened, it was sort of like we're waiting, and then he was delivered to us.
Well, LeBron, obviously.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of
wait till 03.
I don't think we know the face of the league yet. I think he hasn't even arrived yet. I think he might be in San Antonio.
But okay, you want to talk about Wemby? But here's the thing about Wembanyama. If you don't think Luka, they're very different, but if you think there's like an anti-European bias, if Giannis was never able to rise to that level, if you think because he's from Greece, I mean, I didn't think so. I thought Giannis was and is like trying, and let's see where he goes. But Luka being in the LA, I think, is going to help. I know the NBA, it doesn't almost matter what market you're in, which is cool for the league. That's awesome, right? You want to be able to be in any market and be the face. Like Durant was as famous as anybody playing in OKC. But I think Luka in LA might skyrocket.
Does he have to win a title?
Well, yeah, it's the Lakers.
Yeah. But here's the thing, Luka never dunks. I mean, he makes jokes about it. He has some of the fewest dunk numbers of anybody in the NBA.
I know, but he's got a new trainer now.
Yeah, but he generally does not like to dunk the basketball. Look at his dunk numbers; they're shocking for a 6'7", 6'8" guy. I just think his style is not quite there. Is there a lot of flair?
Does the dunker have to be the face of the NBA?
Who've been the faces?
Steph has been a face. He doesn't dunk.
Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were not dunkers.
That's true. No, but they had so much flair to their game.
Wemby needs a rival. Flair.
I don't think Luka has that much flair. Do you think so? I think he dribbles around and draws a foul. Or
Luka's passing and some of the stuff he does. Yeah, he has a lot of flair. Definitely.
I think he does too. And he wears the emotions on the sleeve. And he's, that's the one thing about Jokic that I think really, besides Jokic kind of having that, we joke around that sort of old man game.
Yeah.
He also doesn't do any of the on-court stuff that like gets people really riled up.
But he actually, like Jokic's game has, just like Luka, he'll make those really cool Larry Bird style passes. But again, there's something missing in the formula. Maybe it's because he is a foreign player and he won't. I don't think Luka ascends to that.
See, I think the foreign thing is over. I think that's old because.
So you think it'll be Luka?
I think it can be. Maybe it's Wemby, but he's stay healthy now, and I worry about that. I mean, it's a unique body type To be fair, though, I thought Chet was going to have a lot of trouble staying healthy. He missed his whole first year, and he looks amazing. So.
But I think it's the uniqueness, too. It's not just the fact that Wemby is French or whatever. I just think we've never seen this. So Steph Curry became a quote-unquote face of the league because we've never seen a guy shoot from 10 feet beyond three. We've never seen a LeBron. We've never seen a Jordan. We've never actually seen a Magic and a Bird, a 6'9" point guard with incredible vision. So I think
he started a finals game at center.
James Harden's basically Luka's righty James Harden. We've seen exactly how he plays to me. Also, to this foul merchanting thing, I know I'm going to sound like an annoying podcaster. Like, I just don't I don't love the way SGA and Luka and Jalen Brunson just try to get a player on their back and draw a foul. And it takes a lot of skill, but it's kind of boring.
Well, I mean, does that take a little two to tango, right? Like, you got to be calling. They were calling everything last night. I think Scott Foster, one of the referees from last night, was upset because he got hit in the nose and started bleeding profusely from his nose.
Lou Dort.
Yeah, he got hit on a jump ball that he threw up in the air, and the guys it was inadvertent. The guys came down and hit him right in the nose, and he was really bleeding. And I think he was just a little like
But wanted to make sure he didn't take another shot. So he was like, hey, pipe down, guys.
I think also, he's like, I know I'm going to get embarrassed because I basically have a tampon sticking out of my nose right now. So I'm calling everything. Did it not look like that?
I did.
Always does.
But here's the thing. If we're having this conversation, we're throwing five players into the face of the NBA conversation, then we don't have a face of the NBA. And honestly, the way the championship keeps moving around now, and there's no dynasties, I'm not sure it's going to be easy to achieve this. I don't even know if the face is here yet. Maybe he's an 11th grader. Maybe it's Bronny James.
Maybe it's Boogie Flam.
I think that when we're talking face of the NBA,
Bronny James.
You have to be super transcendent.
Bryce.
I mean, super transcendent. With the names we're talking about, LeBron, Kobe, Jordan. I'm not sure that any of these guys.
But I think it goes back to what you were saying, Pearl, is that I think we're looking for a face, but first we need to find a winner. We don't have a winner right now. We don't
a consistent one.
Yeah, we have guys who have won one-offs, and then we have some guys that are trying to win their first right now, who are contemplating if they're going to be the face in the NBA. But then these guys, when you talk about Mike, you talk about Magic, Bird, Steph Curry, LeBron James, those guys were winners. So I think in terms of finding a face, you're going to have to find a guy who actually can win at a high level on a consistent basis.
But the salary cap's going to screw you on that. The new, we had Joe Varden here. He's like, this league is set up to break up teams now, or not allow super teams. So I don't know, could LeBron's Heat team could not exist now?
Yeah, but at the same time, I also wonder, because we didn't have super teams, and I know we had teams that were very talented, but we didn't have artificially created super teams in those other eras. So I'm not necessarily so sure that you can't get a super team in today's NBA. It's going to be a little different.
Well, also, LeBron had already ascended to face of the NBA before he went to Miami. He had not won yet, but he was already the guy. I mean, he's been to the finals, I want to say single-handedly, but basically, I think he was already there. All that was left was winning the title.
He's such a unicorn, though, because his skill set was so unique. I mean, the fact that he was 6'9" and could finish like that and pass the ball like that, that's the thing. LeBron was special. So I think SGA is amazing. I think Luka's amazing and Jokic is amazing. It's just, are they going to stand out as so different? I don't think so. EJ, when you said that, do you guys think the Thunder are going to win enough that SGA could be that guy? Can they win 4 titles?
Well, yeah. I mean, I wonder with the Thunder, because they are a super young team. And they're a team that has a bunch of draft capital, and they're going to have to start paying guys, but they're still not there yet. So they're in a position where they're not going anywhere. They're going to be a contender for at least the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, but did we think that about last year's Celtics and the Nuggets in 2022?
The Celtics are way older.
Yeah.
And the Nuggets already got expensive.
Yeah, and the Nuggets also way older. The Nuggets were playing Bruce Brown and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
And they could have kept those guys. They just got cheap.
Right, but they had already played Jamal Murray a ton. Obviously,
Jamal
Jokic
Murray's
plays
like 25
a ton. No,
at the time.
And they also had to pay, Aaron Gordon gets paid like a super, super role player. These guys are not cheap.
They didn't want to get into the third apron or whatever. They cheaped out on their role players. I mean, at the time when they won, Jokic was 28, Murray was 25, Aaron Gordon was 27 or something. They could have been a team.
But the reality of the Thunder is a lot of their guys are under control. Like, Shea's going to sign an extension. Jalen's still on a rookie contract. Chet's still on a rookie contract. Case and Wallace still on a rookie contract. So there's going to be a window here. Maybe in 4 years, maybe 3 years, maybe some of those guys aren't here. But the core of the team is going to stay. Now, maybe you lose a Caruso. Maybe you lose a Lou Dort maybe in the next few years. But the core is still there. Those other teams, they lost key parts of their core. And that was the reason why they couldn't sustain themselves.
I kind of view the Thunder as SGA and 11 really good role players. I honestly don't think Jalen Williams might be a star, but generally, like, that is not. They're a very interesting team. Like, you said Case and Wallace, like, are these guys even that good?
Well,
I don't even know.
But that's also like the kind of these are the kind of role players that you want, right? Where it's like, yeah, maybe they're role players, but Lou Dort made All NBA. Defensive, right?
So right, but Lou Dort was a journeyman.
No, I know, but now
this is the only team he's played on. What do you mean?
You're an all NBA defensive guy.
Again, but
these are the type of role players that you want.
But is Lou Dort right? But they're role players.
Chet Holmgren was the second overall pick.
Chet Holmgren, second overall pick. Jalen Williams, lottery pick. Casey Wallace, lottery pick. Like you're talking about guys who are not guys who Lou Dort was undrafted, but those other guys are not.
I don't know. It feels like Caruso is. They have. I just think there's one A+ and a lot of B's around them. I guess you guys view them as I don't see that. That's how I see the team, but
they're so young, Pearl. Like you don't think Chet Holmgren's gonna get better than he is now?
No, he'll be good, but right now it feels like SGA and the Puppeteers, or whatever. Like it feels like he's the central star, and then everybody around him is sort of like a B+, which is an interesting formula.
But they're winning 68 games, then why does he face the NBA? Like, if you're saying he's doing it with a bunch of B's or in C's, and they're dominating the NBA, then that says a lot about what Shea's doing right now, no?
Yeah, it does. No,
especially
it's incredible.
in the West.
But I think that's a good formula. Nobody else has 8 Bs. I mean, Minnesota's bench is terrible.
Okay, we're asking you, who will emerge as the face of the league? Is it one of the guys who's playing right now? 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Meanwhile, Jason Tatum never made it in this conversation. Jaylen Brown. They are the reigning champs for a couple more weeks, even though Tatum's hurt now. Okay, lots more to do, including, speaking of hoops, and we mentioned LeBron here, apparently some tension right now between LeBron and the Lakers.
Ooh.
Yeah. I thought this was going to be a relatively easy offseason. Turns out nothing is ever easy when it comes to the Lakers. Shame on me. We also have an update for you on the San Francisco 49ers and the latest details. It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. I was just telling Maggie I had spent about an hour yesterday trying to figure out how to stop Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with a
what'd you come
basketball.
up with?
Have a really short, incredibly fast, incredibly strong defender. A guy who's 6'2", who is going to stop Shai's dribble. Because Shai dribbles wherever he wants. So does Luka Doncic, so does Jalen Brunson. Why does the league, I think the league wants tall wings, go short. Because when I was playing high school basketball 100,000 years ago, tall guys hate short, fast guys. Mm-hmm. They don't want to dribble. They don't want to be pestered. Mm-hmm. But my friend Uma pointed out the officials call anytime you reach for Shai's dribble. It's like they don't even wait to see what happens. Just call whistle. So you got to stop him from walk. He gets in the paint on every play. Every single play, he is in the paint. Nobody can stop him, so you got to stop his dribble. Easier said than done.
So who is this person in your mind? Who is this short defender? I'm like, it's not Gary Payton was 6'4". Like, who is this person?
His name is Maurice Purnell. He was on. He was
on your
he was
Lower
a year
Marion?
younger than me. I mean, would he match up with me in practice? No, it's
what's he? Where is he now? A CPA in Philadelphia?
Yeah, probably. I have no idea. This person doesn't exist yet.
Got to create him in a lab?
But you think about a lot of what's the ideal defensive player? You would have thought it was Jaden McDaniels, right?
Yeah.
6'5", fast, long, can get his hand up. But he can't stop SGA's dribble ever. So I don't know. Low man, you know what made me think about it? We talked about the tush push yesterday a lot. Jason Kelsey, low man wins. So why not get a low man? I don't know who this guy is. I'm thinking of like a Houston Cougar basketball. Isn't this guy exist? I don't know. EJ,
Does
you
low
follow
man
college
win
hoops
in
really
basketball?
closely.
Big man wins
well,
in basketball.
I don't know. Get underneath SGA's dribble. Is there EJ? You know the college game really well. Is there a guy like this that exists?
In college currently? Not really.
LJ Cryer, Houston, or one of these guys get underneath SGA's dribble instead of being tall.
He ain't doing nothing with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, what are you going to try to feed him to the Wolves?
I need I need somebody who's super fast and you can't just dribble around, like Iverson, but defensive oriented.
Even Iverson didn't play that kind of defense.
He didn't play any defense.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. I think the best way to play them is you got to zone them. I think you got to zone them, and that's a little
too.
bit what Denver did, and Denver had some success at parts in the series. You got to zone them and hope that they don't shoot over the top. But his handle was so crafty, and he's so good at drawing contact that staying in front of him is impossible. And to be fair, this is how he was in college.
Right.
He was impossible to stay in front of him in college, too.
Well, I mean, he gets a whistle. He doesn't necessarily draw contact. I mean, if a guy gets within, if the breeze of Jaden McDaniel's arm is within 9 feet of SGA, the whistle is blown. So he gets the whistle.
Let's go to the phones. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Jamie is in Dallas. Thinks Perloff's being a hater. What's up, Jamie?
Oh, my Lord, bro. Slow down on the haterade this morning. He's not this. He's not that. You're talking about Pete Patrick Beverly, first of all, and that person that you're talking about, and you're talking about a person that they don't have a spot in today's NBA for. There's no 6'2" players in the NBA. That doesn't exist anymore. You have to be a albatross like Steph Curry and say that doesn't exist. Moving on. Listen, was Dr. J outgoing, big mouth, talked a lot? No, he was very stylistic. When he spoke, he chose his words. He was very intelligent. He was one of the first real faces of the league. Was Larry Bird a big personality? Did he do a bunch of interviews? No, none of that stuff. So you couldn't be farther wrong. Shea is a fashion icon. He's one of the most. He leans into the culture more than you can even imagine. You're showing your age. You're showing the fact that the NBA may not really be your strong suit with all the hate here.
But
These
Jamie,
guys
what
aren't
about,
this. These
forget
guys
the
aren't
outside
that.
stuff. What about style of play? He's a mid-range player.
Mid-range player, that's where the soft spot is. Everybody's trying to dunk and shoot the threes. Go where the least friction is. That's what he's doing. That area is there for him because of the spacing that happens in today's game, because of the metrics of get a three or get a layup. That's what he's doing. Now, on the other side of that, these guys are all 25-year-olds that are about to win their first of what's going to be multiple rings. Okay? So whether they're Bs or whatever in your mind, as 25-year-old, Chet Holmgren's never played a full season, but it's coming. All right, these guys are like you're.
Yeah, but Jamie, here's the thing that
off.
Perloff is saying: we've had 7 different champions in the last 7 years, so multiple rings. Let's have them win one, okay? And OKC, it looks like it's theirs to lose this year. But are you really sure they're going to be able to put together multiple?
Yeah, with this team, with this youth.
Said it about the Nuggets. Said it about the Celtics. And I'm not saying that the Nuggets and Celtics can't still win multiple rings. It could be out there. But I think that Perloff's right about one thing. He may not be Shea as a fashion icon, although don't sleep on Perloff, Paris Fashion Week. Yeah. He's got all the updates. But here's the thing. But dynasties may be going away for a little bit.
Sure. I mean, just like the fact that the last 7 NBA MVPs, none of them were born in the NBA, and that's just where we are right now. Yeah. I mean, none of them were born in the USA. But if you had any thought or understanding of the current NBA economics, you would have saw that this thing with the Celtics was not going to be sustainable. If they this is before they bring Horford and Hauser back, they're looking at a $493 million salary and luxury tax bill next year. That's not going to happen. You can't do that. Right. Okay. So, like what I'm saying is like the basis for the entire conversation that you're putting forth today is extremely dated, and it just you're not looking through the lens of now.
Wait. Jamie, I got to stand up for my guy for 1 second here. Not that Perloff needs my help. But I
think I do right now.
The one thing that you have not answered, in my opinion, you have not answered well, because you have a really well thought out argument here, and it's a great call, and we're glad you called us up this morning. But to say that Shea's game is exciting just because he's zagging away from dunks and threes, that doesn't hold water. Perloff is still right about this. Shea can be effective in the mid-range. A lot of guys can be effective in the mid-range, but he's talking about excitement, highlight plays that draw in casuals. You haven't answered that question yet. Just because he can get a lot of points and zag in the mid-range doesn't mean it's exciting.
I'll answer that. Okay?
Yeah.
I'll answer that. Today's NBA is not what you're talking about. It's a 3-point shooting contest and a bunch of high pick and roll, and that's it. And there is no more physicality. There is no more, it's not Vince Carter and Dominique Wilkins dunking because there's too much size and length on the floor because you got 6'9" at the 3 and the 2 on some teams. So that stuff you're talking about, it doesn't exist anymore.
Okay,
and that's just a fact.
Okay, but highlights still exist. And by the way, I don't know if the physicality is totally out. I get what you're talking about, but I watched Knicks Pistons, and that looked pretty physical. And I heard, who was it? Steve Kerr saying this looks like the 90s with the Warriors and the Houston Rockets. So there is a place for the game for physicality. It just looks different.
What was the score of those games?
Like 88 to 85.
So, Jamie,
it's like the 90s again.
Who is your face of the NBA then? Who's the Who's the LeBron, Jordan? Who's the singular star?
I think that obviously I live in Dallas. There was a push out there. There was people and especially on the media side that were wanting that to be Luka.
Yeah.
All right. But the fact of the matter, and I hate that they traded him. I hate all that. Whatever. But listen, he's a petulant, selfish individual who doesn't play defense. Like that doesn't translate well. But this current era is statistics driven and metrics driven, and you're trying to fit this into this idea of 20 years ago, and that's just not where the league currently is. Is what I'm trying to drive home here.
And you are. You're making a great point. I'm sorry. We got a couple other people here. Fantastic call all around. A+, Jamie, on your game this morning. So thank you for that. I think that Jamie's answer, not to put words in his mouth, is that there is not a face of the league right now, and none of these guys are going to be it. Maybe not. Yeah. Maybe I don't want to take his argument. He does think that OKC could be a dynasty, or win multiple titles. So maybe it is Shea, but
he's also right. Vince Carter is my favorite player of all time, and I knew he wasn't going to win a title. So I'm not disagreeing with Jamie on that front.
Yeah, I mean, he also was Vince ever really the face of the league?
Well, the funny thing is the media never got into Vince, but any all-star vote or fan vote he blew out everybody. The fans knew Vince. The media was a little behind on Vince. I always thought. And then now we look back on him. Richard Jefferson said that people would line up around the block to watch Vince Carter practice. He is the most spectacular athlete in the NBA that we've seen this millennium.
See you guys on the phones. Want to keep talking about this. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Gordon Damer with us this morning on Updates. What's up, G?
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. This Sports Flash is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs for protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
I enjoy other people's pain.
Yeah, we'll have some of that a little bit later in the update. But first off, game one of the Western Conference Finals. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander started off just 2 for 13 from the floor back in game one. Safe to say, last night he has found his stroke.
Giving to Shea down the lane, floats it on the run. Banks it home left-handed on Alexander Walker and gets a bang for his bucket. Oh, what a play by Shea. SGA, so good always.
Yeah, Matt Pinto, the call on Thunder Radio. Thunder take game 2 of the Western Finals, 118-103. So they didn't lead that series 2-0. OKC dropping the hammer in the third quarter, outscored Minnesota 35-21. Never look back. SGA finished with 38 on the night. He gets his MVP award.
I felt really good. I feel like my emotions were so high that I was a little bit tired out there, especially to start. I was a little too juiced up. But special moment.
Yeah, and another special moment when SGA saw that Chris Paul, his former teammate, was in attendance. They became friends in his first season in OKC.
It was amazing. Caught me off guard. I had to double take. I was like, who's that sitting with my wife? I got a little tight, but then I seen it was Chris. I was like, all right, cool.
I didn't know if that double take was the double check, the crossover to the State Farm commercial. I thought maybe.
I mean, usually when a man's like, who's that sitting next to my wife?
Is that Timothy Chalamet at the Knicks game?
Well, Chris Paul, there's some, Back to you, Gordon.
All right.
I know where you were going with that.
It's the internet, guys. It's not substantiated. Back to you.
You went right up to the ledge, and you didn't.
Took me a second to get there.
I'm sorry. I can't go with it.
Why?
It's too much of an internet rumor, EJ.
It's not an internet rumor. The guy said it himself.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Ye said something about Chris Paul and his former wife.
Okay.
You guys didn't take it to us.
All right. There you go. Yes. Kanye said something about his former wife and Chris Paul. Not substantiated. Kanye West, probably the last person you'd ever want to believe anything coming out of his mouth right now. It was out there.
Sex is great and all, but I mean.
Timberwolves were led by Anthony Edwards, who had 32. Julius Randle looking like the Nick Julius Randle in the playoffs. 6 points on 2 of 11 shooting.
Gordon. that cut particularly close to home
Gordon,
with those
you come
guys.
off like such a nice guy, but geez.
Well, tonight is Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Nick's trying to pick up the pieces after that Game 1 overtime loss. Since the 96-97 season, teams that have trailed by 7 points or more, this is a lot here, and a lot of math early in the morning, I apologize, 7 points or more in the final 50 seconds of the fourth quarter or overtime are 4 and 1,702. 3 of those 4 wins have come from the Pacers in this year's postseason.
Wow. It's not a fluke.
I love we've been doing these numbers the last 48 hours. You need scientific notation to calculate the odds of the Pacers winning yesterday. Like 1
and 1,000 factorial.
Yeah, we did these numbers yesterday. All of them are incredible.
I would not trust myself with any of these numbers. Like, I don't know how you go about finding out this information, but I would have to double check my. I still wouldn't put it out there. I wouldn't have the confidence in my math skills.
We know that freak Elias, he has too much time on his hands. So he goes ahead and checks everything.
Yeah, Eli, man, get a life. I would last at one of those stat places. I don't even think I'd last till lunch. Yeah. They'd be like, Maggie, can you look up this? I'd be like, no.
But you do bring up a good point. They could just be wildly making things up, and who's going to double check them?
Well, when it's the Associated Press, I'm like, that's as rock solid as Magic's Twitter feed. I mean, it's just the facts.
Well, they don't really do those stats. It's Elias and used to be Stats Inc. I don't know where Daryl Morey came from.
Yeah.
They use algorithms and AI to figure this out, right?
Do you think it's a bunch of people, like with a pad and pen?
They have a computer program to figure this out where they throw all the data in. I don't know.
I like the better theory that it's a legion of nerds that are just like calculating. So if you carry the 2 over here to the 5, the Indiana Pacers had a 0.0003 chance they're winning, and they won the game. Wow.
24/7. They don't leave. 365 days a year. They're just there.
Someone's chained to a desk. How about Jamie giving a nerd Perloff voice, which we kind of just we let that go. That was pretty good.
Well, I don't. Jamie the caller?
Yeah.
I didn't. Oh, yeah. My daughter does that to me.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Daryl Morey is really he spent 5 years doing exactly that.
Yeah.
Like that you could become a GM if you can crunch those made up numbers.
I can't do it.
Gordon's right, though. These are all
you
fake.
Can crunch those made-up numbers. Don't you think when you watch old movies about like NASA and things like that, and people did not have computers then, it's like, how did anyone get back into the Earth's atmosphere with just a pad and pen and like a protractor?
Great point. I have no idea.
That's what's the problem. We have this issue in America where the education, because of the COVID year, a lot of people are off.
Right.
And a lot of kids are behind. That's what we need to do. All these young kids that like basketball say, hey, you know what? We're going to grab a legion of you guys, and you're going to crunch the numbers of how the hell the Pacers won that game last night. I'm sure you'll get those kids invested in math again.
Indianapolis local middle school has to figure this out. I don't know if you guys had this. I know we got to get to a break, but when I was in school, I learned averages through baseball.
Yeah, me too.
That's how they taught us in school. Or that was like not how, but they added that in.
Well, we didn't do it in
school. They would take
school.
the Binghamton Mets, and we would have to calculate their batting averages.
Those are called the Rumble Ponies now.
All bad.
Yeah, I learned it from the back of baseball cards.
Yeah, same here. My dad, a lot of times, he would say, all right, so you saw Patrick Ewing score 25 yesterday, and he had 27 today. What's his average? Like, we used to do that all the time in the car. Helped a lot.
I was just
That's
getting
a pretty
yelled.
easy one.
I would just be getting yelled at. What's 7 times 6?
Yeah.
My stall technique was, well, that would be like the same as 6 times 7, right? Just answer the question. You know?
Why are you guys such nerds?
Yeah. Math was not a strong point in the Damer household.
Yeah, well, that's okay. We got to take a quick break. Let's leave it there. Dorcas Malorcas. Yeah, Dorcas Malorcas. We see you guys on the phones. OKC is the next dynasty. Shea is the next face of the NBA. We had a robust call from Jamie in Dallas. Said that's, he said a lot of things. Said Perloff's he's not getting the magic. The Shea magic.
Drinking Haterade.
You're drinking Haterade. They have flavors of that? 888-710-4ISN.
Give me some lemon lime.
Me too. 888-710-4476. Come on back. Haterade is what you guys are drinking.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, robust conversation this morning on this fun Friday about who's the next face of the NBA, and could it be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Thunder up 2-0 on Minnesota, and we were kind of saying, hey, it was only this time last year, not that long ago, when everyone was falling all over themselves to say that Anthony Edwards was the next face of the league and that he looked like Michael Jordan and all these things, and it feels further away from that now than a year ago. Even though he's right back in the Western Conference Finals, he's getting outplayed by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Let's go to Johnny, who's in Atlanta. Johnny, what's up, sir?
What's going on? I was calling because OKC is built to be the next dynasty. You cannot say they're not built. They got 3 of the youngest stars coming in the NBA right now. And not only that, that GM knows how to build a team. He got so much draft assets that they could continue building with that squad because he know what he's doing in the draft. He already drafted 4 MVPs, and whether he drafted 3, acquired 1, and he drafted multiple All-Stars. So you cannot say they're not built to keep on winning because he know how to draft. That's why I say they will be the next dynasty.
Yeah, and Johnny, I get what you're talking about. The only thing is that Sam Presti is a phenomenal GM. He also has the gift of time. There are maybe some GMs who would not have been able to have the time to collect all that draft capital and you know what I'm saying? So he's got time, but the NBA is now set up where they don't want super teams and guys being paid tons and tons of money. So it can't last forever, just like Boston. Boston was going to the Eastern Conference Finals when they had Jalen and Jason Tatum before they got super duper expensive. And luckily for Boston, they actually capitalized and won one.
But see, the difference is Boston didn't have the assets like the OKC, and they didn't know how to draft like OKC. Because OKC still got a lot of kids on rookie deals right now. And they haven't paid nobody except Shea. They haven't paid Chet yet, and they haven't paid Jay Will. Right. So guess what? They might trade Jay Will for more assets and continue winning with that.
Well,
so that's the one thing about Boston didn't do.
No, but I can't actually say that. It's been 2 different regimes, but you can't say Boston didn't draft well when they drafted Jalen Brown and they hoodwinked Perloff 76ers to get Jason Tatum. I think they are a good drafting team. They're just further along down the line.
But what else after they drafted?
Peyton
Jaylen
Pritchard,
Brown and
Sam Hauser. Those guys are great.
Hauser's not great.
But they were 2 finalists for 6th man of the year as late round picks. That's impressive. Peyton Pritchard win.
Hauser's not 6th man of the year kind of guy.
Well, we got nominated for something.
The thing is, they still holding on to Al Horford, and they're trying to think Porzingis, what's his name. See, one thing about OKC, they draft big. They haven't. Boston haven't drafted a good big in how many years? They hold on to old people right now.
Johnny, the other thing too is Oklahoma City was in position to draft Chet Holmgren at 2 because they were not a good team and they have other people's draft picks. Boston has been one of the best teams in the league. They're not picking in the lottery. It's a little bit different. I get your point, but here's the thing: Porzingis also can't stay healthy. Chet Holmgren doesn't stay healthy. So big for big guys who have these unique skill sets who we're not sure how healthy they're going to be. I totally get your point. I'm just saying I'm not denigrating Boston because they're further down the line in their team building than OKC. Yeah, the guys are literally younger in OKC. They're literally on rookie deals. Boston has 2 of the most expensive players in the NBA. It's just harder. But get your point.
They drafted Chet number 2 overall, not because they were sorry. It's because they had an asset for somebody else.
Right, they have their picks and they have other people's picks. No, Johnny, I get what you're talking about. We'll see if they become the next dynasty. I want to get to our pal Jay. Thank you for the call. Jay's in Nashville. Good morning, Jay. What do you got?
Good morning. Y'all callers are coming with it this morning like that.
How about
y'all
that?
Got the smoke going. The smoke is brewing like they're choosing the next smoke.
Keep it going for us. What do you have?
Well, I mean, first of all, I came in. Whoever Jamie is, that you need to make that like caller of the month. You know what I mean? Because he came in with some facts. I came in halfway through the call. Y'all was talking about Perloff being a fashion icon or something like that, which immediately
facts
and me like, but
record scratch.
No matter what they say, no matter what they say, Perloff, you better work that camera, boy. But I think y'all was talking about faces of the league, and like I said, I woke up this morning, I turned on SportsCenter, and they were talking about SGA, and I'm like, where did this kid even come from? You know
Toronto.
what I mean? And yeah, exactly. So it's like, I don't know if you do have a clear face of the league anymore. It's a different league, especially for us Gen Xers, because it was a little bit more artistic back in our day. Anytime you got a dude driving through the lane, there's 3 dudes in the lane, and he's like changing air in mid-air, still dunking on everybody. It was more of an aggressive art form for us. So it is different. The game is different. I'm not one of them old dudes talking about the game is weak. It's not. It's just, you got more skilled players now.
But you don't think Shea's artistic? I mean, listen, is anyone like Dr. J was or, Jordan? But I think Shea And there's moments when even Anthony Edwards is contorting his body, finishing lefty. Like, it's cool.
Is anyone calling for SGA to be in the dunk contest? I've never heard anyone say that.
But do you think he doesn't play in an artistic way? Now we're getting in the weeds.
No, actually, I don't. Not yet. I don't think he plays in an artistic way. I think he's kind of workmanlike. And he's close. The scale of Vince Carter to Tim Duncan being, I think he's a little closer to Tim Duncan than Vince Carter.
Yeah, you're right. He's more like big fundamental. And, I mean, look, nobody said dunk contest is not important anymore. I mean, everybody's all dunked out. You can't, unless you're doing like 720 dunks, you know what I mean? Or doing
kind of feels like we're out of ideas. I'll give you that.
We're out of ideas.
Yeah, Jay, I'm sorry. We're up against it, man. Thank you for calling. Can I bring up, I'm sorry, Jay, can I bring up one other just thing to leave you guys when we go into break? And coming up next, we're going to talk about college football because I really want to get to that. You have to have a little bit of the machine behind you, even today. You got to have a great ad campaign. You've got to have something that cuts through to become the face of the league. Jordan taking off from the free throw line set to a Nike soundtrack really helped him.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All that cheering you may have heard yesterday afternoon was college football fans rejoicing that the seeding is now changed for the college football playoff. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. I'm trying to think the last time college football powers that be did anything that was this universally liked as what they decided to do yesterday, which needed unanimous approval because everyone loves to rip on college football. It's so easy to rip on the NCAA and the college football playoff, and it's rife with corruption and hypocrisy and all that stuff. But everyone, Pearl, seemed to like the fact that they were going away from ranking the conference champions, the top 4 seeds, and getting a bye. Now it's just straight seeding. Year 1 through 4s. Those are the teams that are getting the first round buys.
Absolutely. And it's the right call. And it was very annoying last year the way it was set up. But I did actually, a typical now Perloff haterade fashion, I had the thought, I'm like, oh, this is not going to prevent blowouts in the first round. In fact, you're going to have more blowouts.
How so?
Because now you're going to get top seeds. You're going to have 4 versus 12.
Right. 5 versus 12.
5 versus 12. Like, that's going to be a blowout. Because at least Boise State and Arizona, like the first round was like 7 versus, you had major conference teams playing each other in the first round. And then the lower conference teams, Big 12, had to wait to the second round. So now you're going to have, for example, like Boise State or SMU or Arizona State playing like Ohio State in the first round. That should be a blowout.
Right, but I think I see what you're saying, but I actually think you may have a chance to get some better games. Like, let me tell you, last year, had they done the straight seeding, this is what the first round matchups would have looked like. Clemson and Notre Dame, 12-5.
Right.
Boise and Indiana, then 8-9.
That's not right.
Okay, that would have been much closer, I think.
Yeah.
Arizona State, Ohio State, maybe that was a blowout. We didn't know that Ohio State was on their way to running the table. And then SMU, Tennessee is the 10-7, and I think that looks like it maybe would have been a lot closer. So then you would have had Oregon, Georgia, Texas, and Penn State as your top 4 seeds. They all would not get a home playoff game under this format, but they do get the first round bye.
Yeah, I mean, I still think the problem, and we've always said it with the 12-team playoff, is that the top teams are going to be way ahead of the bottom teams in the 12, and I don't think this changes that.
Well, but think about it. Last year, having that bye didn't help anybody, right? Oregon got blown out again. We didn't know Ohio State was going to go on this tear. Everyone.
You're right. Last year was
except for Texas
more
and Arizona State, we didn't have good games.
But wouldn't you expect the 5 to kill the 12 usually?
Well, when the 5 is Notre Dame and the 12 is Clemson, I don't know if they're actually killing them. Notre Dame had a great season. They go all the way to the championship game and lose, right? But I think that could have been a close game.
Great last year. I mean, that game was okay with what was it, Ohio State Clemson last year? It was
Clemson, Texas.
Yeah.
Clemson, like that game was okay, but Clemson really shouldn't have even been in the playoff last year. Because SMU rolled over in the ACC title game.
Yeah.
Anyway. I just think that we're always going to have this problem where there's going to be some non-competitive game, just like last year. I don't think this fixes that.
Well, I mean, it is sports. Like, we just never know. We think we know, but you actually have to play the games. And so are you going to have blowouts? Like, it's going to happen. I think you are guarding against them a lot more with the straight seeding than you would.
Really?
My question
think
is
so.
about the second round. Do we have the same thing where, so what they were trying to do last year, say that the top 5 conference champions get a bye because in theory they just played a conference tournament. So they wanted to give them like a breather, and reward them for winning their conference title. And then they get a bye. It turned out totally backfired. All of those teams lost and lost pretty big. Does this guard against that?
Not Arizona State.
Not Arizona State.
Yeah.
That Texas game was awesome. But the other 3 were not close.
Well, here's the thing. I think you're going to have, with the last year's format, you definitely had big conference going against big conference throughout the first round. So now you're going to have big conference against little conference in 2 of the matchups probably.
Well, but eventually you're getting big conference versus, I would say, little conference.
Yeah, in the second round.
You're always going to get that.
Right. You won't have second round blowouts, but you did really. I mean, listen, the first round was not competitive last year. It was not. Were any of the games, sorry if I'm forgetting one, were any of the games close?
I got to go back and think.
Yeah.
But no, they all felt like they were pretty big blows.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State had that really cold game against SMU. Ohio State killed Tennessee. Texas killed Clemson. So it's hard. I think, and this is, you said this, like we're really worried about blowouts as you expand the college football playoff. The sport feels very top heavy. It's not like basketball where anything can happen yet.
Well, but wouldn't expansion maybe help that? Because I know you love the SEC and you think the SEC is still criminally underrated, at times. If you had Alabama, do you think that they would have?
Yeah, they could have made a run.
If they had Ole Miss, do you think they're getting blown out?
South Carolina would have been an interesting team last year.
Exactly. So I don't know if it's about if expanding necessarily means more blowouts. But now you are going to have this straight seeding. So, yeah, for the Boise States and for Arizona State, who had byes to the second round, that would no longer be the case.
The other thing, too, one thing that screws this all up is the non-balanced schedule. So sometimes, and this is not going to help that, you had an Indiana who just happens to play nobody, and then they get into the playoff, but they're not ready for the playoff because their schedule was deceiving.
Right.
And that's still going to happen. Look at, for example, we keep talking about Bill Belichick in North Carolina. They play a Division II schedule for most of the season, basically. They could get to the playoff and get blown away because they had a deceiving record. And this doesn't fix that.
I think I would have liked to have seen, again, if this was, if this was last year, they were using the straight seeding. I think I'd rather see the Boise State, Indiana. I'd rather see that. I think that could have been maybe a closer game, knowing what we know now, because you're right, Indiana didn't play a lot of people, but maybe Boise is a little bit more of a better challenge for them.
Yeah, well, right, but Indiana really shouldn't have been the 8th team in the country. They really were not were they 8? I'm sorry, or 7 or 8? They really did not belong ranked that high.
Indiana was 8th in this ranking.
Yeah.
They were seeded 10th.
Yeah, I just think that, and also even Boise State probably shouldn't have been 9th last year.
Well,
there were
that was
probably
the
teams
thing.
behind them that were a little better. I mean, listen, we love our friends in Boise. Nothing against them, but were they really a better team than Alabama, who was 13?
I mean, Alabama had 3 losses.
Yeah, I know, but that's because their schedule, and they had to. Yeah, I know they lost to Vanderbilt, but are they? Again, I asked you that question: was Boise State that much better than Alabama last year?
Well, I think people saw how Boise State played Oregon, and they were like, you know what, this is a team that actually does belong. They can't help their schedule; they're playing in the Mountain West, so they play who they play, and they were dominant. And then when they played Oregon, it looked really good.
I think some of this,
and Oregon was the number 1 team in the country going away.
I think there is some conflict of. At some point, there's got to be some meritocracy to this in some degree, right? Like, we can't just say, well, Alabama could lose however many games, but we still think they're better than Boise, therefore they get jumped up. Like, if Boise beats everybody on their schedule and then plays the number 1 team in the country to essentially a standstill,
3 point,
then it's
was
like,
it 3 points?
Yeah, like now we're guessing that Alabama's better, rather than Alabama having shown us in that.
And I think
not that it's wrong, but it's
no, but it's like
reality.
why even play the game?
Right,
you might as well
exactly.
just do the whole thing as a ranking for executives in a room.
But there were very serious people, including Nick Saban, who really questioned that schedule imbalance last year. And it was Indiana, it was a bunch of teams were saying, "Wait, are we really getting the best teams through?" The NFL has a more balanced scheduling where it's hard. I mean, you do have unbalanced schedules, but I think that's a problem with college football. We really don't know. You're right; it should be a meritocracy, but do we really know if you're in a harder conference where you are? That's why they don't want to add, another conference game. I just think that there's something weird going on where the wrong teams sometimes get through.
Do you think this is going to drastically help next year, the postseason tournament?
It's not going to be that different. Do you think it's? I do think we're going to have a 5-12 blowout and a 6-11 blowout.
But do you also have to sort of bake that in a little bit with just sports because you don't know. None of us know.
We did, but it felt last year like we knew. Maybe
I don't think so. I don't think all those fans that went to Ohio State and filled up the horseshoe, I don't think they knew. The Tennessee fans who went up there and, it was a sea of orange. I don't think they realized what was about to happen. So I don't think that's necessarily true.
I mean, we had a lot of big spreads in last year's playoff. A lot of double-digit spreads.
Well, it's college football, though. I feel like double-digit spreads are kind of the thing.
Yeah, that's why it's not college basketball where you have no idea how those top seeds are going to do. To answer your question, no, I do think there's going to be a predictability to it, and you're always going to have that. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe NIL will make it more parity, but I just see there's going to be just as many non-competitive games as there were last year.
Okay, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but then on the flip side of it, is that necessarily a bad thing for college football? Because when you get down to it, and we do this with college basketball too, you love the Cinderellas early, and then you want the Blue Bloods late, right? That's what we always say. So
it's great.
Right. So was anyone really complaining when we get a Final Four last year of Notre Dame against Penn State and Ohio State against Texas? I mean,
I think some people missed Alabama in there. I think there was a little spark missing.
See, I don't know if one team does that.
I mean, they're kind of like the Duke basketball of college football. I think felt like there was just a tiny lack of something in those playoffs.
I think it's the fact that Georgia wasn't there may have been actually a bigger. But these Final Four teams, this was intriguing. Notre Dame, Penn State, Ohio State, Texas. Outside of Alabama and Georgia, can you get any bigger in college football?
But I do think there were some people who felt like Penn State and Notre Dame got through because their path was so easy.
Yeah.
That's fine. And I know that Penn State got to play SMU and they got to play Boise. I understand that, and it set up well for them. But let's not pretend like Penn State came out of nowhere. I mean, they also were a great team. They had the 3rd overall pick in the draft this year. Like, they were a compelling team.
They were 1-17 against top 10 teams. You got into that.
But they're a huge program. Like, it's not like you're that shocked that Penn State's there at the end.
But if Penn State has to face Miami or Alabama, I think there's a lot more respect for them getting to where they got. Like, those teams, like, I think that's just a reality, right? It's just like we look at what Notre Dame having to face as Indiana at home and thinking, man, if that was Miami, it was Catholics versus conflicts, and they beat the number one pick in the draft, you'd be like, you know what? Damn, Notre Dame, like, we feel better about them, I think, going into those later games.
They got an injury against Georgia, so that
Right. Carson Beck got hurt. But but it's funny because when I'm watching that game, I wasn't like, man, Penn State, what posers. They really didn't deserve to be here. I watched a game that was 27-24. It was an exciting football game. In the moment, I'm not man, Penn State really doesn't deserve to be on the same field here as Notre Dame.
I mean, us and everybody else was like, oh, man, James Franklin, big game. I'm a little nervous here. That was a thing.
Yeah, but that's going to always be a thing with James Franklin until he wins. And it's by the way, that's compelling. Like, that's intriguing to me. They have Drew Aller now, who's maybe an early Heisman favorite. That usually doesn't go well for guys, but they're hyping up Penn State this year.
No, I do. But to get back to your original point, I don't think this shift will fix the imbalance. We're going to still see this almost the same amount of blowouts, because you're still going to have those teams play somebody.
EJ, can you throw that up on the poll? Straight seeding. Are we still going to have first-round blowouts in college football?
Right. I mean, there should be theoretically. Last year we had the second-round blowouts because, I don't even know if this is going to help the first-round blowouts. I think this will help the second round because the better teams will get through. But I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how this could play out. I don't think it's a major, major difference. You think this is going to feel different next year?
I do, and I think you're going to get better matchups in the first round, more even potentially matchups. Like, when I go back to what this would have looked like last year, I think that it would have been a better game between Indiana and Boise State. I think it would have been a better game, SMU, Tennessee. Maybe Clemson gives a little bit more of a scare to Notre Dame. So, to me, I think that this could have been actually a lot better. And, again, I've never seen anything like this in college football. I know you're against the grain because your brain is wired that way. Most people loved this yesterday. College football hasn't taken a W like this in a while.
Well, I thought it was good, but I don't think it. If you think it's going to be a game changer come next year, because actually, just to get back, like the the first round was better last year because the lower teams got the bye into the second round, right? So that you're talking about the second round was less competitive because teams that didn't belong there were there.
Right.
So I think you're still going to see, you might even have more first round blowouts because you're going to get the group of 5 team is going to play in the first round and not in the second round.
Right. But can I offer you that somehow, some way, the teams that were on the bye seem like they were not ready to play.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe it evens it out a little bit. Although I doubt Oregon's going to make that mistake again. And Ohio State turned out to be the national champs. They were awesome. But you wouldn't be able to catch like Oregon napping.
But one point I do, and I disagree, I think, a little bit with both of you. I do think the SEC and the Big Ten were frustrated last year about the way this played out. Yeah, I think there were a lot of people in Alabama, and there were like, it wasn't just me who said, I don't know if the best teams are getting through. I'm not sure South Carolina's not better than some of these teams. I'm not sure Miami's not better than some of these teams. And
Miami can't go to Syracuse and lose. Alabama can't go to Oklahoma and lose. That's
I know, but the reality is you still say, wow, there's a lot of first-round draft picks on that Alabama team. The other thing, I think Alabama has such a target on their back. They come into your stadium, you are amped. I mean, Vanderbilt was an okay team, but they were playing out of their mind. I think that it's easier for an Indiana Hoosier team to storm through Northwestern, Purdue, Michigan State. That's my take.
You know what's funny about that? I don't think that's just an Alabama thing. Like, I think if Texas comes to town, you're hyped up about that. If Penn State comes to town, you're hyped up about that. If Notre Dame comes to town, I mean, Alabama
has 6 or 7 championships in the last
Saban's
20 years.
Gone.
You're saying Saban's gone. I think there's a little bit of that glow still there. They are, to me, still the premier program for right now, although they're losing that grip under Kellen DeBoer.
I think it's a huge season for DeBoer. We can talk about that later at 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Diehard college football fans, we know we're talking to a lot of you. Did this hit you in any way? You like this? You hate this? Talks more about some coaches with a lot to prove. Also coming up, apparently there's some tension. Between who?
Mm-hmm.
Whom? I never get that one right. Who and whom? Anyway.
I believe it's whomst.
Thank you, Manny. Whomst amongst us. The Lakers and LeBron, front office and the superstar with tension. Wouldn't you think everything would be good now?
I mean, he has Bronny there. Is he trying to get Bryce?
What does he have to complain about? You got Luka and Bronny. We'll tell you next, MVP.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This NASCAR preview is sponsored by WeatherGuard Truck and Van Equipment. They're just as driven as the hardworking pros they serve. All right, Manny, what do you got?
Guys, Memorial Day weekend is here, and it's one of the biggest weekends in auto racing in these here United States of America. All eyes turn to Kyle Larson. He will start his day up in Indianapolis and will participate in the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500. He will then get on a helicopter to a private jet that will take him to North Carolina and onto a second chopper to head to Charlotte Motor Speedway to participate in the Coca-Cola 600. Larson, he tried this last year, the double duty, finishing in dead last up in Indy before getting a DNF at the Coca-Cola 600. And a quick look at the top of the standings in the NASCAR Cup. The aforementioned Larson is at the top with William Byron, Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, and Ryan Blaney rounding out the top five. 600 miles, 400 laps, Coca-Cola 600. Charlotte Motor Speedway, Green Flag Wave, Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Good job, Manny Tires. Yeah, you got to come back and try that again.
Yeah, nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, you can't come in last and then get disqualified. You got to give that a second shot.
A big old dead last as a rookie in open wheel last season, and then did not finish at the Coca-Cola 600 later that night.
Yeah, sorry, DNF. You got to come back. You got to avenge that.
Only place to go is up.
Exactly.
Kurt Busch was the last one to complete both back in 2004.
I remember when he did that. I love it. I love when these things happen. We don't have this anymore. We don't have a Dion who's playing in an NFL game and then going to play in a playoff baseball game.
We kind of have Shohei and Travis Hunter.
Yeah, but Shohei's not going to pitch 6 innings of shutout baseball and then going to tee off at a golf event.
1,100 miles between Indianapolis and Charlotte.
I mean, not to nitpick here, but Kyle Larson's not going from the Indy race to go play tennis against somebody.
Well, I know, but we
it's
just don't.
basicly the same mechanics. You hit the gas and you turn.
Oh, what are you trying to say here? You're just driving in circles?
Well, I'm just saying Indy 500 is. I think pitching and hitting is way different than open wheel racing, and like it's still racing. Ask Tony Stewart. I mean,
I'm backing away from this one.
Wait.
It's different cars. They're totally different. It's got to be a totally different experience, I would imagine.
Yeah, open wheel.
Oh, really? I've heard Tony Stewart talk about the skills, because he did both, you know, that there's definitely a obvious commonality.
Well, I mean, wouldn't
Travis Hunter's the commonality between playing wide receiver and defensive back. Well, Shohei's the only one that's wildly different.
Yeah, I think Shohei is more different than Kyle
Still
Larson.
the same sport, though.
Yeah, but I feel as though it's like if it were so easy for NASCAR, for stock car drivers to do it, it would be the entire Indy field.
There's been a lot of crossover through the years.
Well, yeah, there has been. I remember Juan Pablo Montoya being one of the first in my early memory bank. So, I mean, yeah, it does happen, but I do believe that it's got to be different. It's open wheel and stock car.
Right, but it's also because I think if you took the top drivers at each sport and gave them time to focus on the other sport, that they could figure it out.
I don't doubt that.
It's not like,
Yeah, I'm not going to have LeBron James, hey, LeBron, I'll give you 4 months to try to hit this 94 mile per hour slider.
Jordan tried that. Didn't work out very
Yeah,
well.
I heard.
Yeah. Where's Indy 500 on your sports bucket list? Top 5? Top 10?
We were in Indy and it was for the Super Bowl in 2011 or 12, and I was offered a drive around and I couldn't do it, and I regretted that, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like when I was a kid, the Indy 500 was a lot bigger.
I think it's still huge. I think it's one of those things where even if you're not into auto racing necessarily, you get there and you do that trip and that weekend and you're so happy you did.
You know what I feel about the Indy 500? I feel like it's one of those things where I'd want to go to the Indianapolis race, Speedway, and I want to like kiss the bricks. I want to like walk around and maybe get in a car and drive around. Sure. I don't know if I need to be at the event. I think it's one of those venues.
The 100,000 people. You don't think that's part of the magic?
I think the venue is special for me. For me, the venue is special.
Would you like to go to the Kentucky Derby with no race? It's kind of the same thing.
I think that's different. I think that's different. I think the Kentucky Derby, the actual race and the atmosphere, dressing up in the suits and the women with the hats and the dresses, like that is a experience. I think you have to be there to see the actual experience. I would love to just be on the racetrack and then like be like, wow, this is crazy. You know how much history's here? See the bricks right there? Like that's cool. I don't know if I need to sit there for the 4 hours and see the race.
Interesting. I'm like trying to think if there's another venue where you would just be cool with showing up, even if the game or the thing's not being played in that moment. The Masters probably get to see the course.
When I was interning in Philadelphia, 94 WIP, I was staying at Drexel, which is right across the way from Penn.
Right.
And I didn't get to go inside, but even walking around the Palestra to me was amazing. And I wish I could have been able to get inside the gym. I don't know if I need to see Penn play. I don't know if I need to see a game there.
Well,
I think if I just walked in the gym, it was just like, wow, this is the oldest, besides Hinkle Field, the oldest basketball court in America.
Both. They're both awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Fenway and Wrigley, by the way, would be mine. But go ahead. Sorry, man.
That's a good one.
Mine would probably be the Camp Nou in Barcelona, but I would love to watch Barcelona play, of course.
But it's just like,
tour.
It's kind of weird where the venue is the thing. I think Perloff's right. Fenway and Wrigley for sure. Just walking in, do you need to actually watch a baseball game there to get the magic?
Wembley Stadium, a bunch of soccer stadiums for me.
I think Hinkle Fieldhouse, I think, is the same way. Like, I think, and I'm not even a Hoosiers guy, but I would kill to get inside Hinkle Fieldhouse, just walk around. Do I need to see Butler playing?
I felt that way being on the Notre Dame campus for the first time. It was like we got to go in the stadium, it's actually pretty basic.
Yeah.
But just being on the campus and the touchdown Jesus and all that stuff was really cool.
When you walk into Hinkle, you're federally required to measure the ground to the top of the rim.
Well, just like kissing the bricks. You got to drink some milk. You got to do all that stuff.
Can I say one that'll impress Manny? I walked outside. I couldn't get into La Bombonera in Buenos Aires.
Oh, yeah, of course, where Boca Juniors plays.
Boca Juniors, where Diego Maradona came up. And it is the craziest stadium you'll ever see in your life. And there's so much history there. That, I think, is one of the soccer ones. What's the most famous soccer stadium?
I mean, La Bombonera is up there. Stadio Maracanã in Brazil is a pretty big one as well, where the first World Cup final was. And again,
Stadium Azteca?
Old Trafford.
Estadio Azteca, Old Trafford.
Old Trafford.
Anfield in Liverpool, of course. I mean, again, a bunch of these English soccer stadiums and Spanish soccer stadiums for me, they do the trick.
That'd be fun as a Maggie and Perloff show to do a international soccer tour to go to all these stadiums.
When no one's playing.
We learn the stadium names.
No, I would love to go. I'm dying to go to some of these England spots. They seem amazing. Yeah, I mean, Do we have the budget to go to?
Yeah.
We'll just go down to Argentina, up to Spain,
into London,
back to London.
Yeah.
You want to go by cargo ship? Maybe we have the budget. I don't know. Flying, if we have the budget.
Meanwhile,
we're trying to get to Buffalo for training camp. Might be an issue. I don't know if we have the budget to go to London.
Well, can we get an MLS game? Maybe we could definitely go to Jersey.
That's actually a salient point. Yeah,
I go to Jersey every day. I wake up there.
Red Bulls will probably treat us all right.
Yeah,
no, we love the Red
we can
Bulls.
do Red Bulls. Old Trafford, not so much.
Well, I mean,
different type of Reds.
Can we get over there for an NFL game and somehow double dip? I don't know if the seasons overlap.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure the Jags. We could talk to Tony.
I would almost.
No, they're not going this year.
No,
thanks a lot,
They
Roger.
have one game there.
They have one game.
Yeah.
They're not
two
doing the
this year.
back-to-back. That's the
Vikings.
The Vikings.
I could easily skip that NFL game over there. I don't need to see some 23-16 fumble fest.
You don't want to see Vikings-Browns? How dare you? That doesn't get you going?
Yeah.
What if I told you it was Kenny Pickett?
Well, I would. It'd be
Or
nice to be over
Flacco.
there, so I don't have to remember at 9:15 in the morning to set my fantasy
Should do
lineup.
It'd be just a regular time for you.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of those 9:30 games. They never really work out the way you want them to.
I hate those games.
Yeah, they're not a great viewer experience.
Forgive me because I'm going to try to do this off the top of my head, and that's going to be stupid. When they eventually do the Australia game,
Yeah.
what time is that going to?
It's the exact opposite, right? So
Is it?
It's
I know it's
pretty
the
much.
other side of the world,
Well,
but
let's think about it.
I think a 12-hour difference.
MLB games, when they start in Japan, usually start at 6 a.m. Eastern time.
right.
And where's Australia? Australia is more or less
6 p.m.
same,
probably, or
yeah.
it's 5 p.m. or something. Yeah.
All right, I'll do a little research here. It's going to be 1 p.m. local time.
Australian time.
Yeah.
Wait, what's going to be 1 p.m. local time?
It looks like
They already
Rams
scheduled
game,
the time?
according to AI overview, which, by the way, sucks.
I
Sorry,
would-
Google. I mean, I can't live without you, but this AI overview, thumbs all the way down. It's wrong all the time.
I don't know if it's worth the AI overview or the Apple weather app because the Apple weather app is garbage too.
Oh, Alexa never knows what the hell the weather's going to be. Is
But
she the same thing?
The Apple.
No, she's Google.
Yeah, no, that's Google. That's Amazon. The Apple app. You can go on your phone and see what the weather is, and it'll say, whatever, 60 degrees cloudy. You'll go outside and it'll be raining. You'll be like, how?
How are you wrong
the
now?
person that's
Yeah.
doing this app, all they have to do is look outside and see it's raining, or just step outside. Why is it
New
still saying
phone,
it's
who
cloudy?
dis?
It's incredible. They are so wrong. It is so wrong so often about the current weather.
I know. We all think that this technology is making things better and better, but the Google AI overview just totally screwed me yesterday when I was looking something up, and it's just the worst.
You know how many times I walked Lita during this winter and I'm walking outside? Oh, okay, it's not snowing. I go outside and it's snowing. I'm like, how do you not know it's snowing? This crap is crap. It's terrible. The app, I don't know what happened to Apple weather. It didn't used to be this bad, but in the last year or two, it just doesn't even know the current weather.
Yeah, I'm here for this vent all day long. I have so many problems like little apps and things.
The
traffic app, don't get me started.
Oh, I know.
Got some, Gordon?
It's just it's annoying because you don't have to be a futurist to realize what's happening here, which is the machines and the AI is only getting more invasive in our lives, not less. Yet they're still working out a lot of kinks and bugs and all that stuff. And so we got to be here for the 1.0 version and the 2.0 version, and it stinks.
But that kind of AI overview is just Google, basically. Like
No,
the
but
same
for
exact
some reason,
thing.
it's like really, it
Yeah.
can be very wrong.
And also too, AI. I heard something about this. AI is a marketing term. Like it's not really artificial intelligence. The computer didn't teach itself how to the Rams are playing at 1 p.m.
How to look up what
Yeah,
time is Melbourne 1 p.m. Eastern
yeah, which
time.
by the way is I don't think that reading the story now. There's no confirmation of that whatsoever. Maybe
See?
it's right,
It's lying.
but it's not.
I got that from AI.
Is that really
overview.
artificial intelligence, or is that just like a slightly higher level Google?
In fairness, the AI says that the NFL will release the game's exact date in mid-May of 2026.
Okay, so AI overview did lie to me when they said that a game was scheduled for 1 p.m.
Which is
it doesn't know.
11. Where's it actually?
They're covering all its bases. It's
Where's the
saying
game?
it's at this
Brisbane?
time, but it's not that time.
It's just like, lie to those sheep.
Right.
They don't know. We're all getting dumber.
Maybe they're in cahoots with the Elias people, and the whole stats about the Pacers are actually
Beat
wrong.
me to it. Damn it.
Honestly, who's going to challenge them?
Not
Teams
me.
are 0 and
Elias, come on, step up and challenge him.
994 when leading by 10 points with 2 minutes and 14 seconds left to go.
So they could play at 12 p.m. noon Brisbane time, and it'd be a 10 p.m. Eastern start, 7 p.m. Pacific time. That'll work.
It's like a 10 p.m. Saturday game would be.
Yeah. I think that'll work.
Brisbane and Melbourne are the same time?
Oh, is that where I'm sorry. I thought the game was in Brisbane.
I think it's in Melbourne.
It's Melbourne.
Oh, it can't be that different.
I'm pretty sure just about everywhere in Australia, except for Perth, is all in the same time zone. Because basically, nobody lives anywhere in Australia except on the west coast of Australia.
Because it's the outback?
I think the middle of Australia is basically... You can't live there.
Red rock.
It's just like desert.
Yeah, I got the same for Melbourne. And look at Gordon with the
geography
facts.
Mr. National Geographic over here.
I was very busy on TikTok the last couple of days.
Yeah, that never lies.
No.
It's as good as the AI overview. I didn't know that about Australia. I don't know much about Australia. We were just talking about bucket list and whether the Indy 500 would be on your bucket list.
NFL game in Australia.
See, I want to go to Australia, but I got to 15 other places I want to go first.
They got some big old spiders.
Australia, New Zealand. How can you not want to go there? That's New Zealand for me would be a little bit about Milford Trail. Who's into that? Anyone?
It's so
New Zealand does seem like it's another world on our planet.
Yes.
Like it doesn't seem like it should belong on Earth.
My in-laws went to Australia, and you can go to this place where there's just kangaroos. There's a field of kangaroos, and you can hang out with the kangaroos.
That does not appeal to me at all.
Why would that friendly.
Have you seen a kangaroo up close? That is rough.
Scary.
You don't want to punch a joey?
They are ugly, man.
You wouldn't want to hang out in a field of kangaroos? I don't know actually how they do this.
I almost cursed actually on the air there. That's how no is for me.
100 kangaroos versus Maggie. Who wins? 100 kangaroos versus Maggie. Set it up. The next
big
show back.
Adventure traveler over here.
Yeah, me in the outback.
Yeah, you're like, do they have a Four Seasons?
How do they?
Is there a spa? Man, I would love to go to any of these places.
Andrea, my fiance, she spent a month in Australia. She said it was maybe the best time of her life.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not turning my nose up at traveling.
No, it's before.
But as I was saying, you do not want your girlfriend in Australia for a month. The men in Australia... You don't compete with an Australian man.
Well, it's funny because I was also on TikTok recently.
Yeah. They all look like Chris Hemsworth, basically.
Yeah, I could see that.
And the one from New Zealand, they look like Steven Adams.
Yeah, my wife is a
look,
fan of Australian men for whatever reason. I don't know.
The accent? Thunder Down Under, the Las Vegas Review.
It's a former penal colony. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no laws.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't think I do. That's actually true, right, Gordon?
Yeah, that is true. I learned that also on TikTok.
That I did know, but the way he emphasized penal was just...
No, I know.
And I love that everyone looks like Chris Hemsworth in your mind.
Yeah. If you ever go to a hostel in Europe, there's always... Because I don't think anyone in Australia works. There's always 20 Australians partying at any given time. Right? They travel first. They get basically 6 months off to travel. That's the kind of part of their culture. And they are in every hostel ever.
Man, going into a hostel in Europe sounds like the beginning of a scary movie.
Oh, it's great. You
Sounds like
did the hostel stuff in Europe?
It sounds like the beginning of a Liam Neeson movie.
Somehow, I'm going to need Liam Neeson to find me on a train to
I
Madrid.
had no idea that you did not like... I thought you were an international travel adventurer, Maggie.
Nope. I don't know what ever gave you that that impression. I have been lucky to travel, but I wouldn't have stayed in a hostel. No.
Really? I mean, you've never stayed in a hostel?
I have, but I'm wasn't eager to run back to it.
Oh, okay.
You like traveling where you sleep with people who are snoring and farting and all that stuff?
Yes. Because hostels is where you find out where the parties are. I mean, I don't want to stay in a hotel. When I was single, definitely.
I don't know. Maybe it's a man-woman thing. I went to camp, so I slept in a bunk with a bunch of people. That's what hostel is. You don't get your own room. In most of them, it's like communal bathroom, pass.
Cut that. That's a great drop.
I'm the weirdo? You guys all travel in hostels?
No, I'm absolutely with you.
Yeah, but when you're 21, I'm saying, not now.
I'm scarred by hostels.
You didn't like
people snore?
No, nothing to do with living in a hostel. I was dumped in a hostel. So
in a different country?
No, here. There was a hostel bar near Times Square, which was right by where my school was.
Also sounds like the beginning of a scary movie. Go ahead.
Got dumped.
Really?
In the hostel bar, yeah.
Oh, EJ, you don't even drink. I bet you did that night.
Did she meet an Australian man in that bar?
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the reason why.
Oh, man. I can see why you'd be scarred by that.
Every time I hear the word hostel, I'm just like, ugh.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Like I got goosebumps. I feel like The Rock. I can just point to my arms.
But look how good you're doing now. Take that.
Yeah, sure, I'm doing great now. But no, when I think of hostile, that word even
No dice. Gordon, sorry. Hang around, will you? And we'll get a proper update after the break.
Sounds good. Where am I going? What do I go to do?
Well, I'm looking up more Australia
I can tell you that right
There's a hostel bar in Times Square. You might want to go down there.
You might get dumped, though.
Oh, yeah.
Or you be DJ's ex.
The women there are brutal. Okay, lots to do, including we will get to that LeBron James, the tension between him and the front office for the Lakers, according to one Lakers insider. Sit tight.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She said, do you come from a land down under?
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Gordon Damer's with us this morning. Surprising wealth of facts about Australia. So this is a send up to Gordon.
I can't believe you don't want to go to Australia. You are tan and fit. You fit in perfectly in Australia.
Thank you. I love Foster's. No, it's all stereotypes.
Australian for beer.
I didn't say I didn't want to go. I'm not turning my nose up at going. I just said there's like 15 other places I want to go first. I really want to go to Japan. I want to go to Machu Picchu. There's a couple other places.
Me too. Yeah, I'm down with those.
And I'm not going to any of them.
I would get to, the sunburn in Sydney would be a problem for me.
Yeah, your SPF 1000 won't even work
that
there.
part of the world is tough.
It was not made for Andrew Perloff, but we were not able to get to Gordon's update, so give us some headlines.
All right, well, of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander got his MVP award last night before the game, then went out and showed why he is the MVP. Thunder beat the Timberwolves 118-103. Third quarter, the story, OKC outscored Minnesota 35-21. That was all she wrote. SGA matched his career playoff high with 38. It was his fifth consecutive 30-point game in the playoffs, his ninth in this postseason. He scored at least 8 points in all four quarters, and the T-Wolves eventually just got so frustrated by him. In the fourth quarter, Jaden McDaniels actually shoved him in the back on a drive, which earned him a flagrant foul. So not...
Yeah, they were like, let's go to the videotape. It's like, I don't think you have to. I think that was two hands shoved to the back, pretty standard.
Well, yeah,
Still
but
took 5 minutes
he was
to
mad
review.
about a call that happened about 30 seconds before. He wasn't mad at SGA. He was mad at the officials.
Yeah.
And SGA for doing the hook move.
Yeah.
It's a combo. Yeah, I don't know. I think he was mad at the foul merchanting, and I'm going to say that word because I know it annoys you.
It does.
Stanley Cup playoffs didn't take the Panthers long to get rolling last night.
Carolina Hurricanes control. Andrei Svechnikov didn't clear. Forsling in front of shot. He scores! Gus Forsling, 1 minute, 17 seconds in. It's 1-0 Panthers. They cash in off the Carolina turnover.
Yeah, that the call on Panthers radio. One of 3 first-period goals. Panthers roll to a 5-0 win over the Hurricanes to go up 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Sam Bennett, 2 goals and an assist.
So that was our goal right from the beginning, and we got what we wanted, but still, obviously, lots of work to do. And yeah, we're not gonna relax or sit back now. We know it's gonna get more difficult for sure.
Well, it's going to get harder because they're going home. Florida has now won 4 straight road games by a combined score of 22-4. And who doesn't love a little baseball history? The Rockies making some history. Yay. Lost to the Phillies 2-0.
Oh.
They are now 8-42. That is the worst 50-game start since 1895. Somebody had to go back and find that.
Elias, too much damn time.
No, I've always maintained 1895, you said?
1895.
Yeah, they're keeping box score. Like,
come on.
We're fighting tuberculosis.
Right, yeah.
You're also
we're building railroads.
You really? Someone's there with a pencil?
Right.
The pencil's made out of actual lead?
We're in mines.
No, I'm sorry. I know somehow we built the pyramids 5,000 years ago, so it's not like there was no innovation happening.
Well,
the Greeks came up with irrigation. I get it, but come on, we're doing box scores in 1895.
We're not talking about VORP or WAR or advanced analytics. It's just the record.
Just
they
averages.
can keep the record.
The averages that you learned in school.
I'm dubious. Someone spills a cup of coffee, history is just gone forever.
Gordon, do you have the exit velo of some of those home runs?
Yeah. I do not. No.
What was the defensive war of One-Eye Mitchell?
I was going to say no one had teeth, but yeah, I'm sure this is totally accurate.
They all had great nicknames like
but
that.
Even with my math skills, they are on pace for 136 losses this year.
That's not good.
That would be a new record.
Yeah, in fact, firing the manager really did a lot.
Well, wasn't there the last few years we've had a few challengers for all time?
Yeah, the White Sox
last season.
They set the mark last year.
Did they eventually set it? I lost track.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So many losses.
I think the White Sox also lost track.
Yeah.
I mean, it works, though. The Astros did this a couple years ago, now
if you know what
over
you're doing.
A decade ago, and it helped.
If you know what you're doing.
Do the White Sox know what they're doing?
Do the Rockies know what they're doing?
Them too.
Learn next week on Dragon Ball Z.
I mean, what was the team in 1895 again? It was the
Louisville
Boston Blue
Colonels.
Bombers. Oh,
Yeah.
The Louisville Colonels?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Colonel Sanders was their first baseman.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Worst record of all time, the 1899 Cleveland Spiders. Pretty cool nickname.
Yeah, but they still ended up losing 65 games because they only played 70 games.
No, 154.
Oh my goodness.
20 and 154. The Pittsburgh Alleghenies were 23 and 130.
Yeah, I mean, I remember those Alleghenies. They were awful.
I never knew this. Okay, we can go back to 1886.
I know you can't even say
sports started.
J.J. Redick's, plumbers and firemen line because I don't think plumbing was a thing. Firemen may have existed, but I don't know if there was such things as plumbers.
I would hope firemen existed then.
I don't know when indoor plumbing started.
But 1886 Kansas...
They have not covered that on TikTok yet. I'm sorry.
This is the 1886
Look
Kansas
harder.
City Cowboys. How many people lived in Kansas City in 1886?
Just the team.
No wonder they were so bad.
Yeah.
The 27 guys on the roster.
According to AI Overview, which is wrong all the freaking time,
Sure.
Indoor plumbing in America didn't become common until the mid-20th century. So 1920s is what they're saying. Yeah.
So Babe Ruth was even playing without plumbing everywhere.
Well, he was wealthy, so I'm sure it was available to him. But
on the road when he was playing the Louisville Colonels.
Sorry, Gordon. What else you got?
How about the Pirates? Another terrible team.
Oh, lovely.
They've been a disaster. They've already fired their manager as well, but they still have Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
But there's been some talk lately about maybe they will trade Paul Skeens. Their GM, Ben Cherington, was asked about that yesterday.
People have suggested that maybe you guys should consider trading Paul. Would you guys consider dealing Paul Skeens this season?
No, it's not. It's not at all part of the conversation.
I like how he makes it out like that's ridiculous. You're going to trade him at some
Eventually.
point.
It's still a little early for them.
Right, yeah. He still has 2 more years of pre-arbitration, so he's not going to get expensive for a few years, but by next year, they'll be having the same conversation, and the answer will be
keep the photoshops of him in the Yankees and the Dodgers uniforms. We all know where this is going.
Hey, the Mets have money now. Come on. Put yourself in the conversation, Mags. Come on. Be happy.
Or the Mets.
Elsewhere in the scoreboard,
you got Juan Soto. It's working
Blue
out for you.
Jays beat the Padres 7-6 and 11. San Diego has now lost 6 in a row. That's what I got.
Wow. Do you have any positive
any
news
good
for
news
us?
going on?
No, why would you want any positive news? Well, I gave you the basketball from last night, SGA, the MVP. We start happy, we end sad. I don't know that that's true.
All right, I like the formula.
Gordon, are you aware of Maggie's theme of 2025?
It's a Jinx Busters, right?
Drought Buster.
Drought Buster. I'm
Slump
sorry.
Buster.
So, the hockey is threatening your theory a little bit.
No, the Oilers. Well, I know they have a game tonight. They play tonight, right? Oilers 100% would fill it on 2 levels. Just the Oilers as a franchise and Canada as a whole.
Well, I'm just saying this
But they're
round.
only down 1-0.
Well, this round is not working out so far. It just feels like the Panthers are
No, they're good.
Yeah, that would not be good.
Yeah, but the Oilers have the best player in the league, so I still feel good about this.
All right.
It's not over.
I know.
I'm not saying it's over. I'm just saying the way this round has gone has not been all Maggie Gray drought busting.
Hockey is what I really have, the most. This one's going to help me the most because I actually think the Stars also count.
I mean, we've been talking about it. The Stars are basically the Chicago Cubs. I mean,
It's the same.
Was it 99?
Yeah, if it starts with a 19 in front of it, it's going to count as a drought buster.
But not if you're going up against a team in the Oilers that have been going
I'm
for
going to say
even
whoever makes it to the Stanley Cup final.
Right.
I got a chance here, whether it's Oilers or whether it's Stars.
That's a good point. If the Stars beat the Oilers, I don't know.
I'm still alive, guys.
Look,
Here are the
if
drought
AI
busters.
has taught us anything, it's to cover your bases.
And don't believe everything you read or hear. Thank you for that, Gordon. Very, very good stuff. Okay, we have some stuff to do here. I want to get to 2 things that we're not going to have enough time for because I want to get to LeBron in the Lakers front office.
Yes.
And we have to get to Aaron Rodgers doing a 3-hour sit-down podcast with Joe Rogan and why it's got people so mad. And oddly, the reason why people are so mad has nothing to do with the politics.
I live kind of a quiet life.
I'm just going to go to AI overview for both of those.
Don't do it.
I'm sure the AI overview will give you a really detailed, really fact-based interview.
I said, you don't know me. And he said, you don't know me.
Really
and then I said, exactly.
Another fact-based breakdown of a Aaron Rodgers conversation with Joe Rogan.
There's no facts in an Aaron Rodgers conversation.
Exactly.
You don't know him?
We have a poll question for you. It's the best. Will the new college football playoff straight seeding have fewer blowouts? Most fans say no. They're with you, Pearl. 69% say no. We're going to have the same amount of blowouts.
It's the risk with expanded playoffs, but I still like 12-team better than 4. It's exciting.
And then this is going to be probably the last year of 12, 2025, and then we're going to probably go to 16.
I can't even remember. Is that where we left it?
I don't know. Matt Rule said there should be 40 teams in the college football playoff.
God bless.
And there was a big joke that went around online that said, even if there are 40 teams, are we sure Nebraska's making it?
We need a law degree. You know, to be a college football writer, you need to have graduated from law school. It's crazy, all the rules going on in this sport.
Okay, speaking of Rodgers, Steelers owner speaking out about Rodgers and whether or not he's actually going to ever suit up for the team.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Get back to basketball in just a moment, but what is going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers? What happened to a franchise, Pearl, that is proud, that has history, that has fans from all over every corner of the globe? They're sitting here like a bunch of patsies waiting on Aaron Rodgers to make a decision. Meanwhile, Rodgers going on Joe Rogan to do a 3-hour podcast and does not acknowledge at all his football playing future. The Steelers are starting to look a little soft here.
Maybe they have a handshake deal. Maybe it's done.
But, okay, if it's a handshake deal, then do the deal. We all understand that if he can't show up right now, that's totally fair. He said it's personal stuff. He actually expounded more on that yesterday in this Rogan podcast, where unfortunately people close to him are dealing with a medical illness. He said it was cancer. Our heart goes out. There's not one of us that hasn't been impacted by that in a horrible way. You can still say, I'm going to be there.
Well,
to keep the pins and needles is just like doesn't make any sense.
Brett Favre signed with the Jets in early August.
Yeah, that went great. There's a documentary about how embarrassing the ending of that was.
But Rodgers is basically new Favre. I mean, they've had the same trajectory. He doesn't want to sign with the team and then skip OTAs because he hates OTAs and then have it blow up as a story. I think if he's actually going to Pittsburgh, his logic, wait for the OTAs to get done and then sign, and then nobody's going to make a headline about him skipping a practice like they did with the Jets.
Okay, but here's the thing about the OTAs. Like, if you don't want to go to OTAs, then don't do it. But then he's also saying it's because people close to him are dealing with serious medical conditions. So, well, but come on. Like, that I understand. That I respect.
What if he had to skip OTAs because his friend was sick?
Yeah, I think people are reasonable enough to understand that that's a valid reason to miss OTAs. But
isn't it easier to do it this way?
I think it makes the Steelers look kind of weird, I guess, is what I'm saying. Because
if they sign him in June, then he won't look weird.
So here's where I start to think maybe there's a little something more going on. Because all of the insiders, whether it's Schrager, Diana Rossini, or whether it was Mike Silver, who came on this show earlier this week, nobody's reporting handshake deal. Adam Schefter is not saying no one's leaking this out behind the scenes. Oh, it's okay. They've got a handshake deal. Everyone, this is why this has still become a story, because they're not even floating trial balloons, weather balloons that there is this weird handshake deal. We had Ian O'Connor on, who wrote a book about Brett Favre, about Aaron Rodgers. And he said he just didn't think Rodgers would leave Mike Tomlin hanging like that. That's not a handshake deal. That is a speculation that there's respect there. But then Mike Silver told us that Rodgers is possibly still even holding out for Minnesota. You know, the siren song of Kevin O'Connell feels real.
That's not exactly what he said.
He said they would revisit it in the spring.
He did not say that he said that, but he didn't say Rodgers was holding out for Minnesota.
He said the fact that Rodgers hasn't signed keeps the door open for possible Minnesota.
But it didn't imply that Rodgers is waiting to see J.J. McCarthy practice. And then I lean towards, and I could be wrong, that it's actually a handshake deal because everything around it feels like they've made an agreement. The Steelers are acting as if a veteran quarterback is coming in there. and they're not making a move to bolster their current room, it has to be because they think Rodgers is coming. And why would they think that unless he told them?
Or is
give
there...
me an or.
What's that?
Yeah, I want to hear the or. What's the other option?
I think there's a couple other options here. Two different things. One, they realize, along with you and every black and yellow Pittsburgh Steelers wearing fan, understands that Rodgers is not the long-term answer and that they don't have the long-term answer. And they didn't like this quarterback class, which, by the way, nobody liked this quarterback class outside of Manny's New York Giants and the Titans, okay? So maybe they're thinking, we got to finally do that thing and hold our nose and do that thing that every other team does, which is maybe we aren't a playoff team this year. Maybe we don't get to keep Mike Tomlin's gaudy record of staying above 500, and we actually are take a step back. I know they got DK Metcalf, but take a step backwards and try to get the quarterback of the future for this in this upcoming year. And that doesn't mean you have to win 2 games or 3 games. You can be picking top 10 and realistically have a shot at a good quarterback. So,
is there anything that's happened in the last 50 years of that franchise that makes you believe that is going to happen?
That's how they got Ben Roethlisberger. It's not on
They
purpose.
were the 11 pick that year.
Not on purpose, I'm saying,
Yeah.
but they did actually have a less than stellar record, and it led them to Big Ben. So,
well, I mean, less than stellar. I mean, this is not. That feels very unlikely to me because of Mike Tomlin. We know the record hasn't had a below 500 season. I just do not see them thinking that way. And also, they have a lot of veteran talent, too. You got T.J. Watt there. Like, you got to want to milk that while you still have, assuming he's still there. I don't see it that way at all. You just signed DK Metcalf. Is that a tank move?
Well, and you signed him not for one season. You know, you signed DK Metcalf because you're hoping that he's going to be there for a long time and be productive through his whole prime. So, yeah, I don't think that means you necessarily have to go for it this year, because quarterback's most important. They got burned by Pickett when they reached. They didn't want to do that again this year. I totally understand.
They didn't do it last year. They didn't spend any money last year. They thought this draft was probably going to be a little better.
So my other thing is maybe they're just waiting and saying, hey, Mason Rudolph can get us we can be respectable or whatever with Mason Rudolph. Kind of the same thing with Rodgers.
Do you know what Mason Rudolph's record with Pittsburgh is? 8-4. Watch him go 9-8. I just don't think that Tomlin is capable of tanking because he'll also win a lot of games ugly, like 19-13 over the Ravens. He knows these offenses he's going against really, really well. It doesn't seem realistic to me.
So that would just be the save here for the Steelers, because I've said this before, and I think it's becoming clear as Rodgers is, I don't want to say hold them hostage. I know he would very much disagree with that because he said, I've been open with them and honest about my things in my personal life, and that's fine. But the Steelers have become just like everybody else. You know, I think there are some some franchises that like to think that they enjoy this really elevated status because their fan base is so popular and because you don't have to live in Pittsburgh or Western Pennsylvania to be a Steeler fan at all. But I challenge that of, Pittsburgh, Dallas Cowboys, these teams that Manny's New York Giants, these teams at Green Bay that we put on a pedestal above all else. And I just don't think that the Steelers really deserve to have that pedestal anymore. I think Rodgers not committing or even being a little more honest about, hey, I just have to bide my time and wait, I think shows that he's treating them just like any other. He treated the Jets with more respect, like publicly, than he has with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
If Rodgers signs in 2 weeks, then we'll never, ever even think about this again.
So I'm going to say no on that because we will still think about it because of this. We just saw how Rodgers did handle his New York Jets the 2 seasons. It was obviously terrible on the field, but his commitment to showing up, being there. I know the trip to Egypt got a lot of attention because the Jets, in my opinion, botched that. But Rodgers was there for every other thing. He was showing up for the voluntary stuff. He was king of the city. He was doing all the things to try to ingratiate himself. He's
Big shout out to all the women backing up the fellas.
He wasn't doing any of that stuff in Pittsburgh. And granted, he's got a good reason because he's helping friends who are dealing with some life-threatening situations. I respect the hell out of that. But he's not making that. You show up in July or August, that doesn't scream commitment to being the guy in Pittsburgh to me. It screams, I just want to play another year, and Pittsburgh was the team that would have me.
What did Pittsburgh do at quarterback last year?
They took flyers on Fields and Wilson.
Yeah, they just grabbed whatever was left. And are they still a premier franchise? Yes. I mean, nothing's going to – and Dallas, the other teams you mentioned, Dallas ain't going anywhere. Nobody cares if they win or lose. They're still the America's team. I just think that brand is a lot stronger than a few bumpy years at quarterback. And this is a flyer on Aaron Rodgers, assuming he does go there. I just think the bar is lowered. I don't think we're going to be killing them for him not being there at OTAs because I think the bar is not going to be Super Bowl or bust. I think it's like, well, he's better than Mason Rudolph. I don't think the hype will be there. When he got to the Jets, everyone thought Super Bowl. He said, I'm going to get a ring for the city finally. There was so much more hype. I just don't think that's going to be the narrative when he gets to Pittsburgh. It's going to be like, okay, we'll see. This is fun. I think there's much less pressure. Am I insane for that?
Well, you have a 4-time MVP in the building. I think there's always going to be pressure there.
You had Russell Wilson in the building last year, and there was
not
no
a 4-time MVP, never got an MVP vote.
Yeah, but he was a Super Bowl champion who is coming off a $240 million contract. He was a big deal.
Yeah, and everyone thought he was washed. And
he's not like Rodgers.
Well, yeah, there's still something I think a little bit more like maybe a little bit more hope with Rodgers, but maybe it's exactly the same. Maybe you're right. And again,
there is more hope. I agree, but it's a risk. I think that people are going to forgive the Steelers. If Rodgers doesn't work out, I don't think this is, as you mentioned, short term. It's not a potential disaster like it was with New York. That felt really painful.
No doubt, and physically painful because he popped his Achilles 4 plays in. But the other part is, and I don't want to sound, I don't want to sound that we're being insensitive to what Rodgers has going on in his personal life. And by the way, that's a tough needle to thread if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers. Do you want to push the guy to get there versus he's telling you that he's got friends who are dealing with these life-threatening things. He's being honest with you about it. I'm not downplaying the seriousness of this. I just think for the Steelers, you left yourself really vulnerable here if you actually are going for it this year. If you are trying to be a playoff team and finally win a playoff game for the first time in a long time, was 8 seasons, I think that you left yourself in a real bad spot. And I'm just surprised that they would expose themselves to this much risk.
Well, what would you have done differently if you were Pittsburgh? Cousins?
Is Cousins available?
I don't know. You're right. I don't think there was all these other great options.
I'll tell you exactly what I would have done if I were the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think I've been pretty consistent on this. I would have kept Fields.
Really? Yeah, they tried to keep Fields for cheap.
Yeah, well, the Jets got away with Fields for what? What did they pay EJ? What did they pay Justin Fields? 20,
2 years, $40 million.
2 years, $40 million. It's like basically bargain basement when it comes to quarterbacks. I would have done that.
But that is completely unexciting if you're Pittsburgh. What's your win total with Justin Fields?
Well, what did he start off the season? Was he 4-2 or something starting off the year?
He got benched for Russell Wilson.
I think that was always in the works.
What's the win total for the Jets? 5.5.
Well, we'll see. No, I'm not saying that.
I'm just saying.
Justin Fields, Mason Rudolph, Aaron Rodgers at 41.
I'd rather.
You're telling me what options. I'm saying I'd rather have just kept Fields.
I'd rather have Rodgers than Fields. That's interesting. I just think we saw Justin Fields on that team, and it wasn't great. It was okay.
Is it ever going to look great with the Steelers?
It's a good question. Mike Tomlin is a defensive coach who does not want to open up the offense. He did have it when Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell were there. And now he's like, I'm never going back. I'm going to be conservative. So that's a great question. Is this a Tomlin problem?
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. EJ, you surprised that the Pittsburgh Steelers are waiting on Rodgers this hard?
Surprised, maybe not, because I think, honestly, this has become the decline of the Steeler organization.
Ooh.
I think that I look at this, and it looks a little pathetic. I'm I know it's not Dan Rooney or Art Sr., but I'm listening to Rooney be like, yeah, we're just going to wait a little longer to see when this old, broken down 41-year-old guy's going to stop doing Rogan and come on the team. I don't know. You're the Pittsburgh Steelers. When the Jets were doing that, yeah, we're the Jets. I
think he's a bum.
We're not like the Jets are.
You were lucky to have him.
They are desperate. They were lucky to have him. I feel the Pittsburgh Steelers are above Aaron Rodgers, so I think the fact that they can't get him in the building says a lot about them.
Yeah, they had Russell Wilson and Justin Fields and Kenny Pickett the year before. When have they had? They never bring anybody into the building. They're homegrown stars. They never go out and get anybody, right? Generally.
Yeah, but I don't know. They traded for. I don't know about that. I feel like they brought in good players. So yes, they do draft well. Typically, a lot of their guys are homegrown. But
traded for Minka Fitzpatrick.
When I think about the first class organizations of the NFL, the Steelers were 100% to me are like right up there. The organizations that
on the pedestal.
Yeah, no players above the organization, all for one for all, and they have a really great brand. The fact that the Steelers are sitting in a situation where they have to wait for Aaron Rodgers, and it's like, well, it's not really surprising. Look what the Steelers have become. Like, that's a little sad to me. It is.
It's just different. Like I said, they become like everyone else.
Yeah.
Can I posit the fact that you might be a little anti-Aaron Rodgers because of what happened with the Jets?
No, because I feel like, because I did not love what Aaron Rodgers was doing in Green Bay.
Don't be a freaking weirdo.
And I watched the Green Bay Packers say, you know what? Like, what are we doing here? Like, we have a younger quarterback here. Maybe he's not as good, but we can develop him and see what he's got. Why are we wasting our time with this guy who's, on darts and trees, isn't answering phone calls? We're the Green Bay Packers, and they still on business, just like they did with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. They learned from that lesson.
I said, you don't know me.
Amazing. So you can weigh in on the Steelers, 888-710-4ISN. So we mentioned that Rodgers was on this Joe Rogan podcast, and people were upset because he talked for 3 hours on everything from, all the Aaron Rodgers greatest hits, right? Vaccines, conspiracy theories, politics, dipped his toe into the transgender athletes conversation. So there was obviously nothing that was out of bounds here. Didn't seem like he put a lot of parameters on what Rogan could ask or what he couldn't ask. They did a wide-ranging interview. No questions about the Pittsburgh Steelers, according to reports. I have not listened to it yet myself. I didn't have the 3 hours, but I will do that because this is what we do for our audience. So you don't have to listen to it. We will do it.
Not me.
I will take one for the team.
You're going to listen to 3 hours of Joe Rogan and Aaron Rodgers?
I listened to an hour and a half of Rodgers on with some guy who was like the best archer in the world. I've already I'm in.
I want to let you know the people of Pittsburgh will respect the fact you're driving around in a boo, brother.
This was the last offseason. Maybe it was 2. He was on some random podcast with a guy who's like the world's #1 archery guy.
What?
And I listened to the whole damn thing. So I've made the commitment when it comes to Rodgers on these pods. But
I think
the fact that he didn't answer anything about the Steelers, I thought was notable because here's the thing. And Aaron Rodgers, I'm not going to be a shut up and dribble person. You could talk about whatever you want to talk about, and your opinion is just as valid as any other citizen in the United States. But understand one thing, Rodgers. We're here for the football. We were always here for the football first. And you can become a freedom fighter, whatever you want to call yourself, that's fine. But the football is what matters to 99% of us. The running for vice president and the RFK stuff, that was all sideshow. If you're not Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback, then we're not going to care as much. And the only reason I feel comfortable saying that, and not like a shut up and dribble way.
It sounds like a shut up and dribble way to me.
It's not. Because I've had the privilege and pleasure of interviewing Layla Ali on multiple occasions. Mm-hmm. And everyone would say that Muhammad Ali finding his voice, and then obviously, unfortunately, having it taken away with Parkinson's, but him being a social justice warrior, she always said, without the boxing, you don't get the platform. And even if Muhammad Ali understood that and his family understood it, Rodgers has to understand it. Without the football, we might not be here for all the other stuff. That's the genesis of it.
But that sounds like a shut up and dribble take, if you don't mind me saying.
Well, because I'm not canceling him over something else that he's doing. I'm not chastising for it. I'm just saying if you go on Rogan and do 3 hours and you answer everything about everything else, but don't address your football future when that's the biggest thing to 99% of us, I think you're going to get people going, what am I doing? I'm here for the football mostly. Listen, and you stay for the other opinions. I'm not saying shut up and dribble means don't say what you think. That means don't go on Rogan and talk about Obama, or don't go on Rogan and talk about vaccines. I don't care about that. Fair, he can do it.
And I think for context, the shut up and dribble was about LeBron and Kevin Durant, who were playing basketball. There was no, are they going to come back next year or whatever?
Right.
That was Laura Ingraham saying, she didn't want them saying anything about politics, right? It was stay in your lane, and it was when LeBron, I think, and Trump were going back and forth on Twitter or whatever.
But what are you saying? But Aaron Rodgers has to realize that people are there for the football, meaning, doesn't that imply we don't want to hear your political views, or don't just do the political views, talk football too?
No, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying that it was glaring, at least by what I can read, the fact that they talked about nothing clearly was off limits here. But nothing about the Steelers, nothing about the future for football, which is still a thing for most of us. So yeah, talk about drones over New Jersey, whatever you want to do, that's fine. But also, like, address the football. You're still an active NFL player.
When LeBron retires in the year 2036, does that mean we don't care if he talks politics anymore?
Some people will care, some people won't care. But if you had LeBron on a podcast right now and you spent 3 hours talking about his political views and didn't ask him, hey, you coming back to the Lakers next year, that would be weird.
It'd be weird, right?
Yeah.
But
that's what I'm saying. Like, Rodgers has to understand a lot of people were there and will tune into this podcast hoping to get a glimpse, like glean whether or not he's going to play for the Steelers. Even Joe Rogan, even on the one I listened to with him in The Archer, I was listening to see if he was going to talk about the Jets.
That ain't the Joe Rogan podcast. They're definitely there for the other stuff.
It could be both, no?
And that Rogan is the most, but is that the number one podcast? No, they're there for the Rogan stuff.
That's fine.
They don't care about the football stuff.
Okay, but like...
They'll go to the Ringer for that.
Sure. I guess I'm just saying, like, as an interviewer, too, you obviously hit a bunch of topics. To not bring up, where are you playing football next year? Do you want to play football next year? Seems like a huge miss, whether it's Rogan or whether it's Bill Simmons or whether it be us.
Well, I think you're implying that there was a handshake agreement.
No, I don't know if there was.
Before the interview, I would imagine that Rogan and Rodgers talked about it. Rodgers said, please don't ask that football question.
Can I spin this in a different way?
Yeah.
I don't know why you'd accept that if you're Rogan. Yeah.
But can I spin this in a different way? Like, even forget about the fact that he's that he wants to talk about politics. That doesn't matter. I agree. It doesn't. He should be able to talk about whatever he wants, like any athlete.
Yeah, it's America.
But isn't it? But for someone to say, I'm too busy to even be around an NFL team because I have too many serious things happening in my life to be around an NFL team, let alone sign a contract. But then you have all this time to talk about things that are just everything under the sun. There's a perception that you're not taking this very seriously.
Well, did you say the same thing to Colin Kaepernick?
Colin Kaepernick, what do you mean? He was blackballed. I don't know.
But he talked a lot about politics.
It's not. But I just said it's not. But I just said it's not about politics. It's the idea that you're saying that you can't play football. You're not saying you can't play football because of politics. You're saying you can't play football because there are too many personal things happening in your life.
You said important things. Like he was talking. You said Aaron Rodgers is saying he's saying too many important things that he can't focus on football. I think there's some of that happened with Kaepernick.
Wait, but
too.
hold on. I think the one thing that was different about Kaepernick, to be fair, I think he wasn't out there doing a lot of press. He definitely wasn't doing weekly on McAfee. He definitely, I don't remember him sitting down for 3-hour podcasts with people.
He got criticized because they were like, you're not talking enough about what these issues are and what you're actually talking about. There are people who think that he didn't talk enough.
Right, but he was calculated in how he definitely made appearances, and I think politics was very important to him.
But I think the point you're missing to me from what I'm trying to say is Kaepernick never said, I'm too busy with personal things happening in my life to play football, but I'm going to go sit down and talk to Anderson Cooper for 4 hours about politics. Right. That's not Aaron Rodgers is saying, guys, leave my football life aside. I'm too busy. But is he too busy? He just spent 3 hours, 4 hours. I don't know if it's uncut. I don't know if that's it could have been a 6-hour interview that's cut down to 3. We don't know. But he just spent a lot of time talking about all the things. And again, he could talk about whatever he wants. But then when we say, well, okay, well, where are you going to play football? And it becomes a, hey, I'm too busy, guys. Like, come on, give me a break. Like, other people have
respect my privacy.
Other people have very serious things happening in their life, too. And it just feels like sometimes Aaron Rodgers thinks that he lives in a world that no one else can understand. And no, Aaron, people can understand that people have things happening in their lives and they can compartmentalize.
But I do disagree. I think there was a perception that Kaepernick's priorities were not football. And I think Kaepernick he was a civil rights hero. I think there's a very fair question about what was most important to him, because I don't think it was football, and I don't even mean that as an insult to Colin Kaepernick.
I think, to be fair, though, he kept saying, I still want to play. I still want to play.
Yeah, but Rodgers is not saying I don't want to play football.
But Pearl, like, there's a team that's saying we want you. And he's saying, give me a break, or like give me some time.
But maybe he wants to retire.
Saying, please sign me. Someone please give me a job, and nobody will give him a job. I think that's an unfair comparison, to be honest. Like,
but you were saying that Rodgers is like saying out there, I'm too busy with important things.
In his personal life.
There seems some commonality where it doesn't seem like Rodgers' priority is football right now. I think a lot of people are wondering, like, does this guy even care about football?
But is his priority? But Pearl, I guess I want to take out the important part. is his priority something happening in his personal life, or is his priority football? Is my point. Kaepernick, his personal life had nothing to do with why he wasn't signed or why he wasn't playing. That's what I'm trying to say. The perception is he said, I can't play football right now because of things in my personal life. Right. But then you see him doing other things that in theory would distract you from your personal life. That's the difference. I think the Kaepernick comparison doesn't equate because Kaepernick never said, I can't play football right now because I'm too busy. He just never did that.
Fair.
888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. That's where we're going to leave it. Let us know what you think. So 3 hours on Rogan. That's what we got from Aaron Rodgers. I will listen to it. I've never listened to a full episode of Joe Rogan, but I will listen to it. Manny's shaking his head.
It's a trip.
All right. Well, I got my weekend plans. What do y'all got? Memorial Day. Okay. Coming up. Oh, my favorite topic.
Barbecue like a normal American.
Bill Belichick. What's the latest on his Tar Heels drama? Get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Perloff Show got super heavy on a Friday.
Well, you brought up Kaepernick.
What you get?
I'm blaming it on you.
Yeah, I mean, the gist of the debate was, is Aaron Rodgers, like you said, he should just at least bring up football, think about football, because if he doesn't have football, we don't care about his politics.
I just said 3-hour interview with Rogan. They don't talk anything about where he's going to play next year.
Right.
Like, that's why 90% of the people are there, no?
No, we're not in Rogan. Yeah, the Joe Rogan. Honestly, if they've been talking about football, I think most of the people will listen to Joe Rogan and be like, what is this crap?
Oh, okay.
I want to hear about, aliens building stuff.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, the Joe and
you
by
can
the
do
way,
both in 3 hours, can you not?
There's no room for that on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Okay.
The Joe Rogan podcast is a particular lane, which is very entertaining. Would you think, let's break down the Steelers wide receiver core for Joe Rogan. The guy is talking about everything.
The guy intersects with sports almost more than any other podcast host. He's on every UFC event. Is that not sports? He's literally a color commentator for the fifth biggest sport that we have in this country.
But UFC fans are not necessarily football, basketball, hockey fans. There's a different lane altogether.
Yeah, but to say like, man, Rogan has nothing to do with sports. I'm watching him on every big card.
He's not going to sit there and say, all right, let's talk about the defenses in the AFC North. He's more interested in, hey, let's talk about the new tax bill. He's very much politics and other stuff.
Amazing.
He's, and Rodgers is right there. He doesn't want to talk about sports either.
Clearly, because he doesn't want to answer, or I don't know if he doesn't want to, but he didn't answer any questions about his future, whether it's Pittsburgh or maybe somewhere else, or maybe retirement, if that's still on the table. I don't know. But no, the whole thing about the shut up and dribble was Laura Ingraham saying that on Fox. She said to LeBron, nobody cares about your politics. I'm not saying that no one cares about Rodgers' politics. I'm saying,
sounded exactly like that.
I'm saying I also want to know where he's playing football next year.
You quoted
Why
Layla
can't we do
Ali
both?
said that the only reason people cared about Ali was because he was a good boxer.
Nope, they said we never forgot that boxing gave us the platform. So yes, people loved him first for being a boxer, and that's something they always wanted to keep in mind. If he had just been Muhammad Ali, who owned a law firm, people would not have cared that much.
Right,
so
but Rodgers, same thing. He set the platform. He became famous as a football player. Now he has a platform. So why does he have to talk about football?
Because he's still an active football player. Still an active football player.
Not technically, actually, but yeah.
Well, he hasn't retired yet, so yeah,
right, but he's
active.
not on a team. But I just think that I think a little hypocritical. It's like some guys should shut up. It almost had to again, you have not convinced me. You're saying shut up and tell me where you're playing.
I'm saying
shut up and tell me if you have a roster next year.
I'm saying talk for 3 hours about vaccines until you're blue in the face. Can I also get a question about where you're going to play next year?
Perloff, would it be different if LeBron was having those comments while he was a free agent? If he's talking about Trump and talking about politics and whatever, and he's a free agent and we don't know where he's going to play, and he did 3 hours of that, you don't think that there would be...
People are like, wait a minute, are you not going to ask about his football future?
Of course. But I think you were implying once Rodgers retires, his political takes will just be lost in the ether, just noise.
No, we're Ali's. No way. They got it. They got more important, but they were just, Layla always said, let's not forget that the boxing is what gave us the platform. But Muhammad Ali got more influential. Well, maybe not more. He's, standing up against the Vietnam War is obviously a huge thing to do while you're an active boxer. But no, people look to him even more after he retired. And Rodgers might run for office. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be less. I'm just saying while he's actively playing, we can't get a question about, hey, what's the latest with you and the Steelers? Whether it's Joe Rogan, you and I, Bill Simmons, doesn't matter. You think I'm out of line for that?
No. I'm just saying you also, I heard you say once the football is gone, people are not going to care as much.
Didn't say that because that's not what happened to Ali.
Okay. So that's interesting.
I mean, I think Rodgers is going to continue to say political stuff, and people who, and we're probably still going to pay attention to it. But while you're playing, I also want to know about the football.
It's interesting. We don't know that he's playing. Maybe he has decided to retire in his mind, and that would explain a lot.
Yeah. Seems like a good question to ask.
Thank you. Gordon Damer gets it. Why doesn't Joe Rogan get it?
Joe Rogan got it. Obviously, Rodgers said, I'll do this. I'll do this if you don't ask me about football. Is there any doubt about that? You don't think Joe Rogan had dawned him, hey, by the way.
I don't know because
of course.
There's a lot of handshake deals then going on in your view of Rodgers. He's got a handshake deal with the Steelers. He's got a handshake deal with Rogan. Got a handshake deal with McAfee.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't think he's that sinister.
The guy who says he's so brave, the guy who says he's so brave, he seems to have a lot of handshake deals to coddle himself to be very comfortable in these situations. No.
Welcome. Are you guys just joining this Aaron Rodgers experience?
I understand it. But the funny part, not the funny part, but the interesting part also is that he did actually talk more about his personal life, about why he's not playing, like why he hasn't signed yet. He got more into that than he did with McAfee, said that he has friends who are dealing with cancer, which is horrible. We don't know, obviously that's way more important than anything. So he did go into that part, but it wasn't like, and are you also interested in playing for the Steelers? I don't know. You weren't curious about that?
No, I'm not. By the way, yeah, I'm definitely curious if you'll play for Steelers, but
You weren't expecting it on a Rogan pod.
No, I don't. Actually, I didn't even know he was on Rogan. I just saw the clips coming through, and I'm like, didn't he just do Rogan like a few months ago, too? Well, I was like, I don't know. All the podcasts have become white noise from Aaron Rodgers for me. There's too many of them. He did like 8 last year. I like hearing the clips, like the Tartarians built the pyramids. I'm into that stuff.
I'm sure you get 3 hours worth of that.
He did get very political on this. I know, because I actually did see some clips. He was very much commenting on the current state of politics.
That's a big llama.
Which is a lot for people.
And if he does get a question about playing and answers that question, that's the headline from the interview. Right? Like, I think he wants the other parts that you were talking about, the politics stuff, to stand out.
Well, for a certain faction, right? For sports fans, if you're saying he's on Rogan because everyone else, to talk about everything else, but then the Roganites would want him, that will not be the headline for them.
Yeah, I don't think he wanted to make a headline in the sports world. I think he wanted to make a headline in the political world or whatever. Is Rogan the political world? How do you call that podcast?
That's a good question. Pop culture? Culture war?
Culture, yes. But this was specifically very political. I heard him talking a lot about the current administration and the way it's covered and things like that.
I mean, I imagine he and RFK are still pretty close.
Definitely.
RFK is obviously right there in the administration as the head of the department.
FDA.
FDA. Yeah, right.
Gosh.
I was going to go Health and Human Services there, but I had the wrong book.
And actually, Aaron Rodgers might be doing something smart. We're not talking about the fact that he's probably going to go to the Steelers and probably stink next year because of Steelers offense.
Can I say it out loud?
Arthur Smith's the coordinator.
That's why he's doing this, guys.
Yeah, no, he should be talking about politics because if he looks at the way that offense is going to be called.
Well, that's the other thing, too. Like, what are the Steelers the ones that they generally don't, that we were talking about teams that get put on pedestals, right? Aren't the Steelers, like Cam Hayward came out and is like, nobody's above the team.
Yeah, but they were a laughingstock for having Matt Canada there for 2 years. There was a great clip I saw. I told you this. Aaron Rodgers was throwing to DK Metcalf at UCLA.
Yeah.
And the caption was, Rodgers must have caught an audible because there's no way that Arthur Smith was letting him throw on first down.
He saw something.
There's other issues here with Pittsburgh. I know they're on a pedestal, but we've been laughing at Pittsburgh's offense for at least 5 years. Openly laughing.
Hard to replace a legend.
Well, yes.
And you have Ben Roethlisberger, that legend, like openly commenting on the quarterback situation all the time, too.
It's hard to replace a legend when you have the worst offensive coordinator in the league and you won't fire him.
I know the owner had to step in, which is crazy. Okay. Hang with us, will you? Okay. Gordon's going to hang. We've got headlines for you. We've got Belichick stuff for you because this soap opera is not going away. What's the latest? Got to stay tuned. It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff Show. Gordon Damer's here with updates. But Gordon, before we get to that, it's as the Tar Heel turns.
He's calling the plays, but she's calling the shots. It's time for As the Tar Heel Turns.
I'm still into it. So Jordan Hudson yesterday, Belichick's girlfriend, who'd been kind of quiet for 4 days, maybe a week since the Miss Maine competition. Humbling to come in third. And she posted on Instagram, you guys, this is a national thing, right? Everyone's familiar with the seasoning Old Bay.
Yeah, sure.
We all know this.
Yeah,
seafood, right?
Crab fries, stuff like that. Okay.
Oh, delicious.
My fiance's from Maryland. If I didn't know Old Bay, I would be getting a divorce before I got divorced.
Yeah, right. They put in the baby bottles there. So Jordan Hudson posting on Instagram, clearly her and Bill enjoying some kind of lunch seaside with a canister of Old Bay on the table saying, enjoying some Old Bay with my Old Bay.
Ugh.
And that was the reaction for most of America. Bay, B-A-E, my boyfriend. Old Bay with my Old Bay.
I really wish you hadn't shared that story.
Let's get to Gordon Damer, who's got updates for us.
I love the open to that segment, but Jesus, are we going to pick apart every single thing about this stupid couple, the worst couple in America?
Now, was that product placement? Was it an ad?
Oh.
Now that would have been something.
See, Gordon Damer always thinking outside the box.
I'm always thinking about money.
Does Old Bay actually want to do that? Maybe.
Yeah. Well, look, he got his MVP award before the game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander then went out and moved the Thunder one step closer to the NBA Finals last night.
Gilgeous-Alexander against his own look. Angles right, barrels left, pulls up, fades, 13-foot jumper on the way, ring it up. Shai's got 32 as he did in game one.
Yeah, as he finished with 38, SGA leading the way. That the call on the Thunder Radio Network. Jalen Williams, he chipped in with 26 on the night.
I feel like it's just a ton of emotions. He's able to push those aside and have a night like he did tonight is really impressive. I think that also keeps the rest of the team at ease when he's able to flip the page as quick as he is. It kind of gets us in the same mode that he's in.
So OKC up in that series 2-0. Anthony Edwards, 32 for Minnesota, but Julius Randle, a rough night, had just 6 points on 2 of 11 shooting.
Probably just standing, spectating a little bit too much. I got to get myself into actions, get myself on the move. You know what type of defense they are. They're going to swarm you. So, I got to get myself into action, setting screens, on the move. I think I was just like standing, spectating a little bit too much.
That gave me flashbacks.
OKC will try to go up 3-0 Game 3 in Minnesota on Saturday. Stanley Cup playoffs, not much drama in Carolina last night.
Al behind the net, then Verhaeghe thinks about a wraparound on it for bouncing puck, and they score! Carter Verhaeghe took it to the front of the net. 8:19 to go in the first. It's 2-0 Panthers, and that may have gone off something out in front, and I believe that something was Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah, that's the call on Panthers radio. Florida, 3 first-period goals. Panthers blow out the Hurricanes 5-0, take a 2-0 series lead there, heading back home for Game 3. Baseball, Angels beat the A's 10-5. Angels, their 7th win in a row. The A's, their 9th consecutive loss. Also, the Nationals walked off the Braves in 10-8-7. Atlanta, though, expected to get Ronald Acuna back for his season debut tonight.
Oh, wow.
Monday is the 1-year anniversary of him tearing his ACL.
Oh, man. We always know that the Braves are going to be there.
Yeah, I know.
Even they got off this historically awful start. It's like, just give it a minute. Now Acuna's coming back.
I told you guys, they're liquid Terminator, too. It doesn't matter how many times they get shot. They will reform and be a pain in our butt, as Mets and Phillies fans. Although, has anyone looked at the NL East standings lately?
I haven't, Pearl. What's up?
I don't know. There's a team from Philadelphia at the top of it.
Right where you want to be on May 23rd.
Oh, okay.
I'm always thinking about
a few weeks ago when the Mets were killing us.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the tune you were singing.
Still remembering the NLDS when they got smoked by the Mets. But anyway.
Oh, yeah. And when's the last time you guys won a World Series?
1986, if I'm not mistaken, Pearl.
Or won a division, really. When was the last time they won a division?
The Mets?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
06.
They've never.
They haven't won
didn't
the
win
NL
in
East until
15 in all those years?
15, they were a wild card.
No, they were a wild card team.
Oh, wow.
15 is an epic year where they were basically out of it until a fateful Yoenis Cespedes trade, Pearl. There's a documentary about it.
Honestly, there's in the history of sports, there's nothing I care less about than the 2015 MLB season. But I digress.
No, Belichick's relationship with Jordan Hudson.
No one knows who wins the division anymore in baseball. That's not.
No, it doesn't matter. But
yeah,
if you're,
it's almost like a detriment.
Yes,
you
just get in.
Yeah, when the Phillies made the World Series, a couple of years ago, they were a wild card team, weren't they?
They had 87 wins.
Yeah.
Still couldn't
they lost.
It's helped the Dodgers.
Yeah. Well, look,
helps when you have the Rockies in your division.
The Dodgers, for an entire decade, were the #1 seed and lost early every year. It didn't help them for a long, long time.
Well, then they got Shohei, and it changed.
I would hardly call
went
this
wire
a
to
trend.
wire last year.
I know that was the 1 year. They were the most disappointing playoff team. They would win 110 games and get blown out in the second round again and again and again.
Nobody had come up with the idea to defer $710 million of money yet.
See, the thing about the old days is they the old days.
What did Shohei do in the play? He didn't even show up last year. He was holding his shoulder.
Well, he got hurt, but that was in the World Series. Then Freddie Freeman was hurt, and he was still playing awesome.
Yeah.
I do think, in reality, I know this is not a discussion. I think a wild card has just as good a chance as a division winner in baseball right now. There's such a randomness.
Right, which is amazing because you're bragging about the Phillies being in first place in the division. This is how it all started.
I was trying to
brought
back you
it up.
and then you started making the argument against your own point.
This is the Perloff experience, Gordon.
Then you're like, wait, what side of this am I on?
Honestly, I don't even care if the Phillies win the title. I just want them to be better than the Mets at this point. That's all I got.
Wow.
We'll see how it goes.
Didn't have it last year. Go Mets.
Oh, I'm sorry. But it's hard for me to hold my hand up with all these Super Bowl rings on them.
I'm a Jets fan who has no problem with the Eagles. Congrats on your championship. That doesn't bother me. I'm not a Giants fan. I don't care.
I know, but he had to change the conversation.
Of course.
Well, we are a football. Unlike New York, we are a football town in Philadelphia. New York's a baseball town. Philly is a football town.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
When you have the Jets and Giants, it's hard to be a football team.
Very true.
It's not a choice, really.
No, not really.
I will give you, it is a Knicks town lately, too. That is
absolutely
for sure. I'm kind of into that.
WNBA, Caitlin Clark, first game without a three-pointer since her sophomore season at Iowa, but the Fever still won last night, beat the Dream 81-76.
That is a wild anomaly.
Had a little dust-up with Ryan Howard.
Yeah.
And I don't mean Ryan Howard from the Phillies.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, you're confusing everybody now.
No, Ryan Howard from the Dream.
Yeah, it's chick.
Oh, I thought you meant Ryan Howard from The Office after you didn't.
Oh, my gosh, guys, come on. Get on your WNBA bag.
I actually saw
Good player.
I saw the dust up on social media, and I was wondering, I'm like, oh, is this going to explode into a big Caitlyn story? And I don't think it did.
No, but the fact that it didn't, I hate to go back to this, I think really solidifies that the Angel Caitlyn thing does still matter because it's not just anyone having beef. I know it was Kennedy Carter last year, but she was also on the team with Angel. Like, I don't think it's just anyone who can step to her or have it a situation with the Angel part of it makes a big deal. This was a conversation we had a couple of days ago about whether Angel is important at all to the Caitlyn story.
Well, I think to the casual.
How important is she
to the casual? Yeah. Angel Reese is a name person that they know in the WNBA. I don't know if the casual fan knows Ryan Howard.
Well, I just think the biggest thing for the WNBA, and it could be Angel, like they need Caitlyn to win a championship. And by the way, if Angel Reese won a championship, that would be huge too. Right. I'm not sure that they need each other as compared to like Caitlyn going to the finals would explode the league.
No doubt.
By the way, Angel was amazing last night. Did anyone watch those highlights?
No, but you came in this morning like, did you see Angel Reese's stat line last night?
12 rebounds, 0 for 8 from the field. Half the rebounds were in one series. She does this Rodman thing where she'll miss a layup, get her own rebound, miss another layup, get another. She is an epic rebounder, but she is not a great finisher around the rim, which makes her an incredibly interesting player.
I was actually thinking about this. I wanted to ask EJ about it off the air, but I'll ask you on the air. Sure. So Angel obviously needs more help offensively, right, to refine her game offensively. It's her second year in the league, right?
Never going to happen, but go ahead.
Well, that's what I was saying. Who is the WNBA player that she should be working with?
Well, the word was that she was supposed to work with Lisa.
Leslie.
Yeah, that was that Lisa, I think, I want to say this was during Unrivaled that she had said that I'm going to get in the gym with Angel and we're going to work on these layups. I don't know if that ever happened. If it did, then she needs to get her money back, Angel Reese, because that performance last night wasn't good. But yeah.
I don't think that's a matter of working. I think instinctually, we all know basketball players. Some people are great around the basket and some are not.
Sure.
I mean, nobody worked with Dennis Rodman, and he was incredibly effective. Angel is she's the best rebounder of the league. Is there any question about that? She's so athletic, get after those passes. I don't think she'll ever fix the layup.
Well, but the thing is about Angel, I mean, with Dennis Rodman, he rebounded his way into the Hall of Fame because there were other guys on those teams that were going to carry the scoring load. If the Sky really want to win, Angel may have to become more of a two-way player, right?
No,
Don't they need her to be better offensively if they're going to win?
No, I think they need to surround her with shooters.
Liberty destroyed the Sky last night, by the way.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, no one said Rodman, man, if he doesn't get dropped 25, we're not getting to the finals. They were just like, dude, just kick the ball out to Jordan.
But Angel was never the generation. I mean, she was what, the 6th pick or the 7th pick in the draft? Like
Something around there,
nobody expected her to be the singular star of a title.
But I don't think anyone expected her to be an offensive sieve, which is I don't want to say that that's what she is, but she has games like that. This is an All-American. This is not
college basketball champion.
This is not just I'm a Johnny Hustle.
But she wasn't the number
player.
2 pick behind Caitlin. There were a bunch of better players.
No, but she was averaging like 16, 18 points in college. She was a scorer in college. She's got to get better on the offensive end.
Gordon Damer, thank you so much. Coming up, lots more to do, including some tension forming between LeBron James and the Lakers front office, according to one insider. And look who's been cleared to practice. Get that to you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Get to the NBA Western Conference Finals in just a moment, but we have other basketball news for you on this Friday. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, and a team that got bounced in these playoffs by those Minnesota Timberwolves were the LA Lakers. Now, here is a Lakers insider, Perloff, Jovan Buha, who writes for The Athletic, has a podcast, and was describing the relationship right now between LeBron James and the Lakers front office.
There's always a chance that LeBron can walk, as we've reported at The Athletic multiple times. And it's not just been my reporting, it's been Sam Amick's as well. The relationship has been a little frosty at times. It hasn't always been the warmest over the past couple of years. But I think LeBron is, I've said it before, I think LeBron's going to be a Laker next year. I think it's just a matter of, is he opting in or is he opting out and re-signing?
Okay, so bringing up the frosty tension that has at times existed between LeBron and the front office, I'm going to be honest, Pearl, I thought that was way behind us. Like, way, way, way in the back, in the rear view. And here would be the reason why. 2 reasons why. One, they actually drafted Bronny. I mean, they did the thing that he wanted so badly. They got roasted for it. I mean, it led to dust-ups with Stephen A. Smith on the sideline of games. Like, I know the Lakers treat their stars really well. No one's asked for something like this before.
Let me throw something at you. What
you don't want to make an enemy out of me.
What if he didn't love the way the Luka trade went down? He was mad they didn't tell him.
So that's where I'm like, okay,
is that where you're going?
Is there actually some tension here? Because I can't imagine if you're LeBron James, did you not like the trade? I doubt that you'd be able to say something like that when a 25-year-old, 26-year-old superstar falls out of the sky. You know, LeBron and Anthony Davis, who was his handpicked guy, they did win a title. It was a bubble title. They did win a title together. They were not getting closer to winning that title right now.
A bubble title? Like, are there going to be other bubble titles?
Please, God, no. I hope not. But
well, by the way, it's so funny. I was just thinking about the Lakers and LeBron. He probably wants him to build a champion, but we were told by multiple callers during the show that Oklahoma City Thunder are going to own the West for the next decade. But isn't it funny? We're talking about opting in and Frosty. Are we even talking about them building a champion around LeBron, or is he just playing out the string here?
I think it's building the championship around Luka now, is it not?
Does that include LeBron? Is that in the timeline when LeBron is still there?
Well, I think LeBron has the ability and has shown the ability to play with multiple different types of people in lots of different ways. I think we have to respect him in that way, where he's he's played with Dwayne Wade, he's played with Kyrie Irving, he's played now with Luka, Anthony Davis. These are all different kinds of stars.
But my question is are we talking championship with LeBron and Luka ever? Are they even considered a contender anymore?
I think the day that Luka got traded, I think, you start dreaming about what could be. And then the reality set in of, A, they didn't have tons of time to gel, and 2, the rest of the supporting cast was obviously not good enough.
And I don't think they can help that supporting cast enough this year. I don't think Giannis is going to land with the Lakers. I don't think they have enough. I know they could trade Austin Reeves, but I don't know. It's also, why stay there? Why, if he could opt out and go to a contender, is that a thing? Is that a possibility? Is there even a 10% chance that could happen?
I don't know, but here's the thing. This is where I give zero excuses to the Lakers, because if they had gotten fleeced on the Luka trade, where it's like, man, you traded for Luka, but boy, was that painful. It was 5 first-round picks. It was Austin Reeves and anyone else who had any amount of value, and wow, they just left the cupboard totally bare. That's not what happened. This trade fell out of the sky.
Yep.
You would have traded 1 first-round pick. Yes, Anthony Davis is gone, but, to be honest, I don't know if Anthony Davis's health is ever going to be, not be the main story with Davis. So in some ways, I've got no excuses for the Lakers.
I have one.
What is it?
They have an enemy that cannot be beat. Their rival, and I'm not talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Father Time. He's turning 41 in December. Eventually, Maggie, it's got to slow down. And you even saw it slowing down. Like, that's their excuse. LeBron's going to be 41. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, but the thing about LeBron is that he's found a way to manage his age,
Has he really, though?
I think so.
Was he able to beat LeBron in the playoffs against the Timberwolves? I think you're denying reality that he's a descending player.
That might be fine, but as far as like the regular season is concerned, which now that he's got Luka, maybe the regular season has to be a little bit more of an afterthought, and the playoffs have to be the only thing. And I know he doesn't like that. He wants to play.
But even with that, at 41, is he still going to be good enough to get out of the very competitive Western Conference? Even if with Luka, feels like a stretch to me. I think that we're going to see him. Yes, he'll probably, as Buha said, he'll probably go back to the Lakers. I just think that you can't wrap your head around the fact that Father Time's going to get LeBron.
I guess what I can't wrap my head around is why is there tension now? Like, what's the tension now?
He said a little frosty. It didn't exactly sound like.
How's there any frost? Like, or anything? I can't imagine what more. I guess like you can have issues with how the Lakers have built their team, but to be honest, when LeBron James made some moves for the front office, they were terrible. Russell Westbrook, that meeting went down at LeBron's house, not at the Lakers facility. He wanted Russ, and it didn't turn out well. So
maybe he's a little fraud. Maybe he's manipulating the situation to get to the Eastern Conference so he can get back to the finals.
Yeah, well, that wasn't true.
Go to Cleveland. Hey, I don't like you guys. Send me to Cleveland. And let me join Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Or send me to anywhere.
I mean, Cleveland's
the West.
They have to be feeling so desperate right now. I mean, it was such a terrible way to end their season where they're the number 1 seed in the East and they couldn't win a home game against the Pacers. That was rough.
That's where he should go. I just don't.
I mean, he did it before.
Yeah, but I mean, we just had Varden on, and I think he loves that Hollywood life.
Yeah, no, he's got
all my damn respect too.
We were talking about the balance between post-playing ambition and playing with Aaron Rodgers. I think LeBron's big time into his production company. He's got his kids. He's a sports dad. He's got a lot going on.
Okay, well, one kid's next to him at the Lakers. The second kid's going to Arizona.
Right.
So that's 2.
He's a part-time NFL analyst.
You can do that from Cleveland. I know plenty of people who are part-time and full-time NFL analysts. Cleveland's the best place to do that.
But I do think he has a lot of business connections in LA. I don't think that's a joke. I think he wants to buy a team. I think he's working on that already.
See, all that sounds like such crap to me. If you really wanted to, you're not playing basketball in China. It's not Singapore or something like that. You're not going to the Iranian basketball league. It's Cleveland. It's like you can still conduct business from Cleveland. You can be on calls in Cleveland.
Sounds close though.
What's that?
Cleveland and Iran.
You can't have.
It's
not like
different.
you don't have to Google the time difference.
It's different, and you know it. You're saying, "Hey, we're going to have a meeting on Zoom with LeBron, Rich Paul, and I don't know, Maverick Carter and Seth Rogen about a new series or something, or Sandler." Like, it's different to be in LA. That's why they're all in LA.
He's on the road 6 months out of the year anyway. You don't think he's had to conduct calls from Milwaukee and New York and Miami and all these other places? Like, if he really wanted to go somewhere, you don't have to be in LA to be in Hollywood.
You could do it in New York.
You do it in New York. For once, I think New York actually might not want him. This is crazy as it is to say that they pined for him for
which team
decades.
in New York? We're talking about the Knicks?
The only one that matters.
Yeah.
No, I disagree with you on one thing. I do think being in L.A. and also he had a house in L.A. even before he got there. He loves L.A. It's also a beautiful weather and
rich people have houses everywhere.
I think his wife wants to move to Cleveland right now. Back to Cleveland.
She's from there. Why not? She's from Akron. They're both from Akron.
Why not? Is that a real question? I mean, I don't mean to.
All right, man, we're taking you right to Binghamton. You're going right back tomorrow.
In the words of the great Joakim Noah, I never heard anybody want to go to Cleveland on vacation.
Yeah, Joakim Noah also said he was too lit for New York. I think he was a little too lit for whatever he was smoking that day. But
I mean, you're just playing devil's advocate because you have to understand there's a million reasons that LeBron wants to be in LA.
Yeah,
He's
and I think
41, but we do disagree. I think he's leaning now. He's a part-time mogul, part-time basketball player. I really believe that.
I think that's disrespectful because he's committed himself to the game still $1 million into his body every year, still playing at a high level. To say he's basically cashing checks, I'm
not saying that.
Just
I'm saying
to stay
part-time.
in LA and be part of the Hollywood scene to get his production company.
Absolutely. That is absolutely what's happening.
But you're basically saying that he's not he's mailing it in as a basketball player.
I'm not saying I said part-time. He's definitely, listen, I've had a speaking role in one movie in my life. It was called Hustle, and he was the executive producer.
Yeah. Did you ever see him on the set?
No, but apparently he was with Sandler.
Was he looking at the dailies? Was he negotiating with the studio? No, he can still do all this stuff.
When he was 29 and his absolute peak, was he an executive producer on any film? No, of course he's expanded. Yeah,
Well,
you don't think he's sitting there
how's
with
it feel getting into the combine?
He had a question the other day about how he does all these business things. He's like, I trust Maverick and Rich.
Right.
That's a lie. He is in on these meetings. He's spending real time on this business. I guarantee you. And I'll bet you he already has a plan in place to buy a team. And I'll bet you he's put a lot of mental energy into that.
Then how's he still playing basketball at such a high level at 40?
He's 6'9" and LeBron James. He's never going to forget how to play basketball. He can just roll out the ball. He spends $1 million on his body for two reasons. One, because he's in Hollywood, and that's what you have to do these days to fit in LA.
It's not a facelift.
And two, well, yeah, but you got to look at those Hollywood stars. You got to be svelte. No, anyway, you don't think that his priorities have shifted a little bit? And where his attention goes, a lot has gone to his kids. I know he has Bronny on his team now. You think he's as focused on basketball at 40 as he was at 29?
I think that you look at the product on the court and you can't say, oh, this guy's clearly not prioritizing basketball anymore. That doesn't compute to me either, because we've been talking about how he's defying time.
But
he's
his whole
defying
career,
age.
His whole career, he switched teams. Once he left Cleveland, every 3 or 4 years to pursue a championship. He stayed in L.A., and I think it was because he had more on his mind than just basketball.
Well, now he's got Luka. So, that's the other part of this situation.
And Bronny.
And Bronny, of course. Can't forget Bronny.
Don't forget Shiloh.
I think that this is a reason to stay in LA. This is a reason to extend your career, right? Because you could have kept running it back with Anthony Davis and whatever, but now it's this whole new thing that you don't know what the possibilities are, because Luka's, quite frankly, just entering his prime.
But I think you only have 1 year to do this. I just don't think there's a lot of time. I think he's going to retire after next season.
Really? Why?
He's 41 years old.
But people would have said that at 37, 38, 39. And they did, and he didn't. And
This
he
is
still
the
played
NBA,
well.
and he's 41, and he's not going to be Vince Carter, who's going to play 19 defensive minutes. You actually looked at me like, well, why would he retire? Yeah, but at a certain point, it's called mortality. Mm-hmm. You think he's going to play to 45 like Tom Brady? It's the NBA. It's not NFL.
45. We're not there yet.
But you looked at me like I was crazy. He's actually talking about retirement now.
He does that. Well, actually, this offseason, I don't know if he said he has to talk to his family about it, stuff like that. I guess I'm just saying we've been having this LeBron retirement conversation for 7 years. And meanwhile, it's not happening. And I think the Luka trade injects a new life into him, potentially. If Luka really shows that he's putting in the work in the offseason, especially with new trainers and all that stuff with the Lakers, then, yeah, why not 2 more years?
Maybe 2, but that's the most.
Maybe 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. LeBron James on our minds today. We also get to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because he was great last night. Thunder up 2-0. Commanding lead.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander
in the Western Conference Finals, even if we have trouble saying that around here. But is he ready to take the next step? What is that? We'll tell you next. M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We're off the NFL owners meeting, and it seems like the NFL is about to go on a little break soon. There's some more OTAs, but after Brock Purdy signed his contract, we're probably going to take a break on the big quarterback contracts till later in the summer. I know there's some players out there that haven't signed yet, but that felt like we were geared up to spend the whole summer debating is Brock Purdy a system quarterback, and then the 49ers took that away from us.
Yeah, good for them, because they did not want this to linger even more. That just would have been a disaster. They got Fred Warner done too. The 49ers were just taking care of business. George Kittle got done early. So nothing like what happened in the last couple seasons with guys holding in up until basically the season was about to start. But here's what I thought was interesting about the Purdy contract. We can debate all day whether it's worth it or whether it's going to come back to bite them or whether, Purdy's worth $53 million. But we had more details that came out, which was the 49ers were looking to see if they could trade Brock Purdy. Now, I don't think that's BS. We have no idea what they were asking. That detail has not emerged yet. But the report is out there that they were looking to trade Purdy.
I don't get this report. Honestly, I don't believe it.
Well, let's just go on the assumption that it's true.
But how could they look to trade him? Who would trade for that guy? But go ahead.
Okay, so that's part of it, right? They looked to trade him, but they got no takers. And it would have been, depending on what they were asking for, we know the 49ers drive hard bargains. I think, what were they looking for? A first for Ayuk or whatever? That never happened. But here's the thing about why this is such a weird contract for Purdy. Dude has no value really on the open market, or very little value.
Right.
Yet worth $53 million a year and $181 million guaranteed to one particular franchise. I can't remember somebody in history who had this exact thing. Like, you have basically, you just said it, no value on the open market. No one was lining up to trade for Purdy because you would have had to pay him and you would have had to give the 49ers something.
What do you think the Miami Dolphins would have gotten for Tua Tagovailoa last year?
But we all universally agree that was a bad deal.
Well,
and that
at the moment,
99% of us would not have done it, and we were questioning why Miami did it.
At the time, I don't remember it being 99%, but I hear you.
Well,
but
he
it's the same
already had
situation.
how many concussions? I mean, that's a very different calculus with Tua.
But Tua had no value for the same reason that Brock Purdy had no value, because you would have to give up resources for the right to pay $50 million for a quarterback. How you win in the NFL is you have a quarterback on their rookie contract, and every team is into that. Nobody wants an expensive quarterback.
I understand, but I think Trevor Lawrence would have a market. I think that Justin Herbert would have a market. I think that any of these other, I think Dak Prescott would have a market. I think there's all the other guys who are in the top 10.
I don't think Dak Prescott. I think Trevor and Justin, I agree with you. Why would anyone want to pay Dak Prescott?
Well, I'm saying at the time he got the $60 million, which was before the latest lower body injury.
He was already post 30. I don't think he had a robust market.
Okay, maybe we'll agree to disagree.
Like a third round pick, are we talking about?
No. I think it would have been higher. I think you would have gotten a second round pick for Dak Prescott. I do. But anyway, it's just this weird thing with Purdy where it's like, oh, we tried to trade him. That was a no-go. So instead of trading him, where we could have envisioned life without him and life with Mac Jones or Aaron Rodgers or whatever they were going to pivot to, instead, we give him $181 million. So it was either trade or $181 million. It's just it's an odd, wrap your brain around that. Because I think that if Brock Purdy was out on the open market, he's probably getting like what Sam Darnold got. Sam Darnold was out on the open market. You didn't have to trade any draft capital for him, and he got like $30 million. Instead, Purdy's making $23 million, more than that.
Well, obviously,
and I don't know how different these two guys are.
So you're calling. I've been trying to push you to call this a bad deal.
Yeah, you have. I know, and I'm almost there.
By the way, and I also you should. I mean, it'll probably work out. Most of these deals have stunk for the quarterbacks. All of them, every single one last year failed.
It's funny because you pay the guys early, before you technically need to, and people say it stinks. Then you wait until the very last minute. People say it stinks. It's kind of hard to please us all. But my thing with Purdy is just coming off of a 6-win season when he was asked to elevate the team and obviously couldn't do it, right? Like, to pay that guy to pay him this much coming off of that season is not generally how, it wasn't like he was in this great position of strength, yet he still got this massive deal.
Yeah, and it's funny, but the funny thing too is a lot of insiders were like, wow, that was a team-friendly deal. They have a lot of optionality in that deal. Mm-hmm. So it could have been worse. He didn't reset the market. I mean, he's right now the 7th highest in average salary, and he's 14th highest in percentage of cap. This deal he'll be a middle tier quarterback in 2 years.
Percentage of cap is weird though, because Josh Allen's right behind him.
Well, I know Allen's very underpaid. Right, I mean, nobody else is nobody.
He's higher in average, like that. That's I think how they structure it too. But as far as guaranteed money though, if he gets everything of the $181 million, he's like top 5.
Right.
So
but
we
the
can make
point
this
is the
anyway.
cap went way up, and he didn't come anywhere near trying to reset the market.
Yep.
So his $53 million this offseason is like $63 for Dak. I mean, so he's $10 million under the highest paid quarterback.
Right, but he's Brock Purdy. So
Yeah, I mean, but there was also a debate this weekend. Is he the 8th best quarterback in the league or the 18th best quarterback? Which do you have him closer to? I'd say he's probably about 15th.
yeah, I think closer to 18 than 8.
Yeah, but I think the 15th best quarterback in the league is probably worth about $50 million a year. That's just how the league is, right?
That's true. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. Dom's in San Francisco. What's up, Dom?
Hi, how are you? Thanks for taking my call.
You got it, pal.
Yeah, the word Brock Purdy, 2 NFL championship games in a row, almost won a Super Bowl. Is he worth the money? Compare that to Dak Prescott, the money they're paying him and what he's accomplished, and there's your answer.
Yeah, but I mean, Dom, if it was only that simple, thank you for the call. Purdy was, captaining and leading an all-star team at that point, right? You can't divorce the fact that the 49ers were loaded on those 2 championship teams, absolutely loaded. And that's Dak Prescott at times has had good teams and at times has not. Sometimes it's right exactly on Dak and sometimes it's not. Purdy also has maybe the best coach in the league, according to some people.
Can I play a little this guy or that guy with him just to set the salary? Like guys who are in the salary bracket around him, is he as good as Jared Goff?
Goff's another one who's got tons of talent around him, right?
Yeah, I know.
Best
They're very
offensive
similar.
line, all types of weapons.
I see them paid at about the same average salary. Is he better than Kyler Murray?
Murray's so different. Murray's got
Murray's
some
an
physical
anomaly.
tools that are just out of this world, but the team stinks.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't think a lot of people would want. Kyler Murray has to run back 14 yards to see where the receivers are.
I know, but when he wants to run forward, he's doing it really, really fast and elusively.
But people are not paying for that. I think that Kyler Murray is limited as a passer because of his height. I think Purdy is a little bit too. How about Cousins? Would you rather have Brock Purdy or Kirk Cousins if you're San Francisco?
Definitely Purdy. I mean, Cousins coming off the Achilles.
I mean, he's getting
2 years ago, I guess.
He's getting a ton of money. Yeah, I mean, let's face it. It's interesting. Geno versus Purdy. It's an interesting conversation. They paid in the 40s for him. Could he go to San Francisco and be awesome? Probably.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Purdy might be a little better.
I think Geno would be just fine in San Francisco. I think they have the same ceiling with Purdy and with Geno Smith.
I think Purdy, I actually think, and I know the NFL podcast world loves Geno Smith. I think Purdy's a little better quarterback. I really do. Geno will give it to the other team.
Speaking of Geno Smith, actually, we got a little sound about Geno Smith, don't we? Let's transition from San Francisco to the Las Vegas Raiders. Here's his head coach, Pete Carroll. Is Geno elite?
It's not just the couple seasons that he played, it's all of the years that he was there. Because to me, coaching the next quarterback up is really, really crucial. And so we spent a lot of time, in communicating and setting our priorities straight, staying on course. And he's just been a champion at that. And now he comes out the other end of that time frame, and he's an elite quarterback in the league. And so what he brings to us is great confidence. He brings to me, I know that we're going to get great play out of his spot. So it's really easy to work that out.
Is Geno elite?
No way.
No, I don't think he's elite. Though the one thing about Geno is, unfortunately, there's like some mistakes that happen at really crucial times. Like he's a great, quarterback. He's got really good stats. All that stuff is there.
I ain't right back though.
But there are just some moments where you're like, no, and he throws that interception that dooms your comeback.
Yeah,
I mean,
his stats weren't great last year, but the team wasn't great. But I mean, he said the word champion. I mean, he's been to one playoff game. I mean, that's the thing about it. They're so eager to recreate the Pete Carroll Seattle experience. Like, did that go anywhere under Geno or in the last 8 years? Has he done anything? And so I know I don't quite understand the optimism with the Raiders, to be honest.
I think Pete Carroll is an immediate upgrade, even at 73. I think that Ashton Genty was a really fun draft pick for them.
Definitely.
And I think their offensive line might not be as bad as people think, although we're not O-line experts around here. Yeah, they still need some upgrades at wide receiver, but you do have Brock Bowers. He's obviously, amazing. And we'll see if Pete Carroll can coach up the defense and get more out of less there. You still have Max Crosby.
Yeah,
Carroll's
so
a
we're talking
defensive guy.
7 and 10?
I think in the hunt. Can I give you that? Can I give you Las Vegas Raiders, the Week 14-15 graphic on CBS at 4:25 Eastern Time? They are in the hunt in the AFC West, which is a lot, by the way.
So Vegas has them at 6.5 wins, where Denver's 9.5, Chargers are 9.5, and Kansas City's 11.5. It's a tall task. I think it feels like it's been a very positive offseason, but that division just it's rough. And I think come November, we're going to view them differently.
Can I bring something else to your attention? Manny, can I hear the Ashton Genty sound, please? So this was just more funny to me and a sort of a what would you do? So Ashton Genty, his nickname is Deuce. He's been wearing number 2 as a uniform number his entire life. Apparently, it's a number that's very important to his family. So when he got drafted by the Raiders, well, unfortunately, number 2 is taken by kicker Daniel Carlson. So Genty called Carlson to see if he could start negotiating for the number.
Yeah, I called him. I was like, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get that number 2, you know. I'm willing to negotiate, you know, whatever you're thinking. You know, I gave him what I was thinking, you know, first, and he came back, you know. And I'm like, hey, man, I got to do it. You know, I got to drop that little bag for number 2.
Okay, I've got a lot of nitpicks with Ashton Genty's negotiating strategy here, but let's just hear exactly how much money did he give Daniel Carlson to wear number 2 and switch numbers?
Yeah, it's up there.
Accord? Like what
now
for that, a brand new Lexus? What are we talking?
So you could probably buy a house, like a nice size house.
This is the Kay Adams. He then said something about a Mercedes and a specific class of Mercedes. So the car he was talking about is Perloff $60K. And he said he could buy a house. He gave the guy $60,000 for the number.
That sounds about right. That's actually, people paid a lot more, haven't they?
Numbers have been traded for cases of beer in the past. I don't know listen, I'm not going to call out the Boise State Business Department, but I feel like they would have a really big issue with how Genty approached these negotiations. First of all, you can't make the first offer. You have no idea what Daniel Carlson is thinking. He could have been thinking, hey, give me $500 a case of beer. We'll call it a day. Instead, Genty made the first offer. It's way more sentimental to Genty. He needs 2, Pearl. He can't be the one to make the first offer. This is like, I didn't even go to business school, but you got to know that.
Well, according to AI Overview, neither did Ashton Genty. He was a communication major.
Well, okay, then maybe someone on his behalf should be negotiating for the number. That's why you have an agent. Have your agent call Daniel Carlson's agent because this one did not work well for him. You can't bring emotion to a negotiation like this.
Wow, you are completely overthinking this. It's
Genty needs someone like me around.
He's a pretty darn good kicker. I mean, I'm not saying Hall of Fame level, but I actually wouldn't even take it. I mean,
kickers are athletes too.
He's like, is he top 5 kicker in the NFL?
Yeah, but he's already switched numbers a couple times. He switched for Mariota. Like, he's not attached to a number, so you got to know who you're going up against. This is about the art of the deal, dude. It's not about whether...
Well, Daniel Carlson is the one that ends up winning. I mean, he's already schemed Mariota out of some money. This is how the guy's making his career earnings.
Well, that's the thing about Genty. You didn't do your homework. Did Mariota even pay to switch? I just think Genty got hoodwinked here. This is rookie mistakes.
Yeah. This is an older list, but 2018 Bleacher Report article had a bunch of people who paid money for numbers. One of the ones I see here was the guy Eric Decker, who was on the Jets. He apparently paid Jeff Cumberland $25,000 for a steak dinner for the rights to the number.
And even that seems a little steep to me.
Should have paid $25,000 to get off the Jets.
Damn, Gordon.
Fair point. It was like Roger Clemens gave Carlos Delgado $15,000.
See, the going rate's not $60K.
Well, I don't know. But also, how much did you say Roger Clemens for Delgado?
15.
All right, so that was that in the 80s, so
90s.
In 90s. So
I gotta tell you, Eric Decker $25,000 in 2018 for Jeff Cumberland. I mean,
what a waste of money.
I'm just saying, if that was $25,000 then and $60,000, it doesn't seem so bad in comparison.
Tariffs.
2018, that wasn't that long ago. So
well,
how much was
a
gallon of milk back then?
Mid-level players exchanging numbers, not an all-pro kicker and the number 6 overall pick. These are two kind of scrubby guys.
Oh, Decker's a scrub.
Well, kind of, yeah.
He go for 1,000 yards with the Jets.
Was it? Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing is he nabbed.
He ain't Ashton Genty.
His wife, right? Isn't she a country music star?
Yeah, Jesse.
Yeah.
Jesse James. The highest number I see here is Clinton Portis, 40,000.
Yeah, but Clinton Portis, read another headline about Clinton Portis. He wasn't exactly Einstein.
This was 2004. He was willing to offer 40,000. But there was actually they went to court apparently. Him and Afiani Ualete. They went to court and ultimately ended up agreeing to 18,000.
Meanwhile, according to AI Overview, which we've learned wrong a lot, but I did remember this a little. Clinton Portis has been in financial ruin. Clinton Portis is not the
jail, isn't he? Did he go to jail or?
Yeah, was he part of that scandal? I don't know why I thought he was.
He was part of the Ponzi scheme, I believe.
Right. Yeah, with all those guys. Isn't that why Big Baby's in jail?
I don't know if he's in jail though, Clinton Portis. But anyway, he lost his fortune. So I would not be looking at him as hey, Clinton Portis gave $40K.
Not your finance, bro.
I should give 60 because of inflation.
To clean up the story, the reason why he went to court was apparently he didn't want to pay the teammate because the guy got cut. So he was supposed to pay the teammate. The guy didn't make the team, so he didn't want to pay him. So Portis was forced to pay $18,000 after saying he was willing to pay $40,000.
So Ashton Jenney already had about, according to AI Overview, $5 million in the bank or so from NIL, and he's getting a $35 million contract. $60K, come on,
that's
principle. Nothing.
You're saying you never want to lose a negotiation, whether it's between, it's whether the money's meaningful to you or not. This is like Michael Jordan 101, He never wanted to lose anything to anybody on the principle of it.
Yeah, Dan Carlson's not giving up that number for peanuts.
He already gave it up to Mariota.
Yeah,
his old number.
For what? Mariota's made like $100 million in his career, probably. That probably had to pay a pretty penny, no?
Donovan McNabb may have had the most unique situation. When he went to Minnesota and wanted to wear number 5, he negotiated a deal with punter Chris Kluwe, where he wrote a $5,000 check to Kluwe's charity of choice. He had to mention Chris Kluwe's band in 5 press conferences, and he had to buy the punter an ice cream cone, with McNabb apparently failing on the band and the ice cream cone agreements.
That's hilarious.
Is that binding?
Yeah.
Maybe he should have went to court like Clinton Portis and the other guy did.
Your Honor, he offered to mention my band and that never came through.
Could have dealt with it like the Geno Smith, IK, Poly, whatever the guy's name
that
was.
was $500. He got punched in the face over.
To be honest, Chris Kluwe might say, you know what? I don't know if I want Minnesota Vikings Donovan McNabb mentioning my band. It might not go over well with the locals.
Well, Chris Kluwe that's a guy who was more of an activist than a player. Like, he didn't care. By the end, he didn't care at all about football.
No, definitely
he was very open about it, too.
No, he just got, I think, arrested at a school board meeting not that long ago.
Yeah.
Gordon Damer is here with updates for us.
Well, guys, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the story before the game last night. He was the story during the game last night, too.
Giving to Shai down the lane, floats it on the run. Banks it home left-handed on Alexander Walker and gets a bang for his bucket. Oh, what a play by Shai. SGA, so good always.
Yeah, that the call on Thunder Radio. SGA led the way, 38 on the night, received his MVP award as well. Thunder take game 2 against the Timberwolves, 118-103. Thunder 17-2 run in the third quarter, and that was pretty much all she wrote. Is SGA doing it all?
I felt really good. I feel like my emotions were so high that I was a little bit tired out there, especially to start. I was a little too juiced up, but special moment.
Yeah, another special moment when he saw his former teammate Chris Paul in attendance.
It was amazing. Caught me off guard. I had to double take. I was like, who's that sitting with my wife? I got a little tight, but then I seen it was Chris. I was like, all right, cool.
All right, so they lead that series 2-0. Game 3 on Saturday. Game 3 is set for Saturday there. Of course, I should tell you, SGA also gifted his teammates. We're talking about gifts and all this type of stuff. Gift baskets to celebrate his MVP award. Every Thunder player, including those on two-way contracts, received a gift basket which included Rolexes, iPhones, Beats by Dre headphones, and Canadian Goose jackets.
Wow.
So that's super generous. I always think with some of these guys, right, the NBA contracts are just so gigantic, I'm trying to pull up the Thunder. And I know a lot of these guys are on rookie deals, but even still, this is a lot of money. Give the gifts to the team, but then what about the support staff? You give one of those guys a $20,000 watch, that could really change something. Isaiah Hartenstein, awesome, making $30 million, could buy his own Rolex.
Yes.
Ditto for Lou Dortz, making $16. Isaiah Joe makes $13. Chet Holmgren still makes $10. Caruso makes 9.
Isaiah Joe makes 13. That's amazing.
And that's just this year. You want to go? We can go down. Isaiah Joe's signed through the year 2028.
You said generous, by the way. Obviously, you think SGA paid? You just gave the free ad to all those things in there. That's
right.
Those guys do not pay for those gifts.
Oh, does it not count if they were gifted to the person,
sort of
like a re-gift?
Yeah, I certainly didn't pay face value, but he just gave Rolex a huge ad.
I wonder if he got him any Skims. Isn't that his big thing that he's the spokesperson for Kim Kardashian?
Nothing quite like my teammate giving me some underwear as a thank you.
Saying Perloff says it's all his sponsors.
What was the Canadian Goose? I'm sure he called them and said, "Hey, I want to do this. Will you give me his marketing guy said, give me 15 coats for the
sure.
He didn't pay for it.
If Shea, who's making $35 million and is about to sign a $300 million contract with his Supermax, got me Skims as one of his teammates, I'm letting him get blown up by the next screen, the next game. I'm not calling on anything. He's gonna get just destroyed. I'm like, oh, didn't see that one. Sorry, but I should have called screen right.
Here's the funny part.
Guy's got a set on him.
Skims for women, I know what that is, like body shaping wear. So it's not just underwear and bras and stuff. It's like stuff that contours your body. These are some of the tricks
makes it
that
look thinner.
Right, exactly. Is that what it does on the men's side?
Yeah.
He's exposed himself. But basically also I think the thing that Shea's doing is sort of compression shorts too, right?
That's my understanding as well.
But why would you not? I love compression shorts. You wouldn't be excited if Shea Gilgeous-Alexander gave you a $40 pair of underwear? I'd like to see his splits. That would be interesting.
Can a man give another man underwear?
He really overreached then by going out and getting Rolex.
Yeah,
you're saying he could have just gotten them all $40 pairs of underwear.
Yeah. Shea basically the Ashton Genty of negotiating it with Andrew Perloff.
Package.
Yeah, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and my mom both giving me underwear for Christmas. What? No, give me the Rolex.
Well, that'd be nice too. But what about the long pants, the compression pants? The Nike ones are like $180. Trust me, I always want to buy them, but they're too expensive. So if you guys win an award and want to hand me Skims, I'm down. Battle of the Bulge. Not the worst brand.
No, I was just asking.
Yeah.
Like, can a man give another man underwear?
Tonight, it's Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Knicks trying to pick up the pieces. According to AI Overview, Knicks first team in a billion years to lose Game 1 like they did.
Before the sun even was...
Yeah, the confirmation is still pending on that one. Do you want the good news or do you want the bad news?
Bad.
Well, okay.
The bad news is the Knicks have never won a playoff series after losing the first game on their home court.
Okay, get that out of the way. What's the good?
Good news after
is, that? Yeah, they are 4-0 this playoffs following a loss.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if that did it for me, Gordon.
It doesn't feel like the good and bad are on equal footing.
Seems like that was the point also, by the way.
Are you
I can't make up the stats. I'm not AI Overview. I just can go with what I have.
He's not Elias. He's just one man. Are you going to go to the watch party? You didn't go last time.
I got things to do. I got an event that I've got to go to, or else I would have gone to EJ's place.
Get out of here! You're missing the game.
No, I'm not missing the game. Again, it's 2025. I have an iPhone. I have the TNT app. I can stream the game.
No, that's fine. But sometimes events take your attention. Like, not all events you can sit there and watch TV. I wasn't sure if this was something you had to, like, if it's a Broadway show, you can't watch a
I'm not
game.
going to a Broadway show.
Okay.
No, I'm just go and see some old pals. We'll just call it like that.
Well, it's very mysterious.
Right.
What is happening?
I was invited someplace, man, to a beach club. Party? Yeah, I'm going to a beach club.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah.
They won't have TVs on?
They certainly would, but I'm not too sure the area that we're going to be concentrated in will. So I do still have my Wi-Fi password from when I worked there. So definitely will be watching the game.
You're going to the beach tonight? It's like 40 degrees.
We're going inside. It's a beach club. There's a place inside.
By the way, I know the studio next to us, Boomer and Gio, CBS Sports Network, WFAN, both predicted the Knicks win this series, and Gio even said something to the effect of they could win the next 4. I mean, there's still optimism. I think,
Mike.
I agree. I think people went too negative on the Knicks.
Well, the way they lost was like,
but you could also
punch.
Look at that. You could look at that and be like, oh, we have a lot of advantages. We got that lead. You could look at it in a more positive way. The matchups are good.
After all, the Celtics are still saying that as they're sitting at home. We had those first 2 games. We were up by 20 points. We were in control.
You know what I think happened with Boomer and Gio?
Pudgy Utah Clapper!
They did what I did, because I told Manny the same thing. You just had to take a nap. Because yesterday I
felt
tried.
Better.
Yeah, yesterday I was like, you know what? I got to get my mind off this. I'm going to try to play MLB The Show. I was getting shellacked by like some scrub team.
Yeah, your mind wasn't there.
That was terrible. I struck out like 10 times. So I was like, this isn't working. I was like, you know what? I got to just, yeah, okay. I had to take a nap. I took a nap.
Sleep it off.
I was rejuvenated.
Yeah.
I was
Joey, are you,
Where's my Nick? I'm on the
You're
bench.
back. You're
yeah,
back.
Knicks in 6. Get these guys out of here.
Yeah.
I
because
thought
we
about
lost you
that.
for a day.
I thought about that with Jalen Brunson. I'm like, was he able to sleep the night that happened? Probably not.
Tom Thibodeau.
Well, Tibbs never sleeps. But
True.
I bet Jalen Brunson didn't sleep, and I wonder if he's gotten some good sleep because you're right. It's the only way to like erase it.
Yeah, because like I said yesterday, how my body felt after that Halliburton 3 went down. I've never felt that in my life, and I didn't know if it was going to go away. It stayed with me that morning, and I went to sleep and I woke up and I was like, oh, that's right, Knicks in 6, and I was ready to go. Wore my Knicks jacket to PT, had a great session, and I was like right back on.
You're not getting 8 for 9 from 3 from Neesmith ever again. So that that.
That's a fact.
Got to be the fact.
Stanley Cup playoffs, Panthers rolled over the Hurricanes 5-0, so Florida now 2 wins away from the Stanley Cup final.
Gordon, thank you so much. Fantastic job all morning long. And one more thing for you before we go. We got to get this in. Got to. Because somebody is talking some major trash, and I don't know if they have the right to do that next.
I'm always thinking about money.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business. Let's get
Tiesto season already? Now
Memorial Day weekend, of course.
I know. I'm kind of interested in what Manny's doing tonight. You're going to a beach club. You're going to have to also watch the Knicks game somehow. How are you going to kick game to women while you're also watching the Knicks?
I'm going to be surrounded by women over the age of 40, so I'm good.
And there's a problem with that?
A little bit.
Hey,
Really,
wait a
Manny?
minute. This is an older crowd? For you. You're 27.
Dude, when I was 27, I would have been all about that.
Perloff down at the senior center picking up chicks.
Listen, I'm not an ageist, but the ladies that are there, not my type, is what I would say.
Is this
So why are you going?
I'm there to support my father.
Oh,
Being a good son.
Okay.
Oh, you said you were
that's
going
great then.
You made it sound like a bachelor party
Yeah,
before.
that's-
Now it's a family event.
Is it your dad's birthday or something?
Actually, it's not what we're celebrating, but that's coming up very close. I should probably get him a gift.
Okay.
My presents will be my gift. That's a great idea.
Yeah, we're celebrating my mom's birthday. She's got a big one she doesn't like to talk about this weekend. Going down to Philly. And we're still, by the way, I hope she's not listening. It is Friday. We don't have a present yet, and we need to really deliver.
Dude, this is an epidemic with your family.
Well,
you
I gotta
are
tell you,
always shopping on the last minute.
You have a mother who has everything. Like,
Yeah.
what on earth do you get her?
So tough.
It's hard to shop for your mothers. I don't know. Do you guys feel that way?
Plus, it was just Mother's Day, so now you got to double up.
Yeah. It's because here's the thing, like she loves when you go to Snapfish or one of those photo sites and make a mug with your grandkids.
I know, but you got to think about that a week in advance.
No, she has so much pictures. She has she has
Get
all
her
that.
shirt. Get her shirt.
I've
her-
got something.
What?
Are your
Please.
parents kind of foodies? Like they like that?
Yeah, they like to cook at home more.
Oh, great idea. Some cheesesteaks.
Yeah.
Well, you could do Gold Belly or something like that,
Mm.
where you get fancy food that's kind of sent to you, free ad for them. Or you could get her and your dad a gift certificate to a restaurant they like.
That's see.
You've already done it.
No, they don't like. They don't want to go to restaurants. They'd rather eat at home.
Yeah, it's too loud.
They're not going into Center City to go have a dinner?
No way. That's
Also, do they
that's sort of
serve anything
torture.
else in Philly besides cheesesteaks and
Philly's a big restaurant
pretzels
down by.
and
City Center
Cream
knows
cheese.
what they're doing.
have a cream cheese entree?
No, but is there anything I can buy? I'm being dead serious here.
Go down, get her a Jalen Hurts jersey or something.
Yeah, actually, Perloff's mom bought me a Philadelphia Eagles
Yeah.
T-shirt. I have it hanging up.
And then you ask her what she wants. She says nothing.
Of course.
Of course, yeah.
Standard woman answer.
The worst.
We say nothing, but obviously we
Okay,
mean
let me
the
ask
best
you this,
stuff
Maggie.
ever. Yeah.
It's year 2025. Is a cookbook or a pot or a pan?
Cookbook is cool. Potter pan's a little like you couldn't afford a vacuum cleaner.
No. That's what I was wondering. If your husband came home with some kitchen stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy. But if you gave me a cookbook of someone I like, then I'd be like, all right, I can do this.
Hey, honey, here's a pan. Make me some
Here's an
eggs.
apron, a pan, and
even a cookbook.
get back in there.
A cookbook to my mom implies I want you to cook this food for me.
I want soup.
Yeah. Like, I think a better review, you put your feet up and I will make the recipes in this cookbook for you. To which she would say, absolutely not. I'm not eating your subpar cooking.
You almost poisoned us last time.
EJ, what do you get your mom? She seems like a very sensible woman.
Penn State gear?
A lot of Penn State and Raiders gear. A lot of Penn State and Raiders gear. She has plenty of that. She loves it. One of the things I've been exploring is sneakers. But like Last year, I did like, because, Nike now, because they're with the NFL, they do like team sneakers. Sure. So
But how do you know her size and everything, and will it fit right?
That's where you go. I ask my dad, hey, what's my mom's shoe size? And ask my mom, hey, what's my dad's shoe size? And that's how you get. That's how you get good stuff.
You're lucky you can buy shoes at a regular store. People like me wouldn't know about that.
Yeah, with your giant feet.
My giant feet.
Lucas couldn't even lift your feet. Lift your shoes.
No. He cowers when he sees me without shoes on. He's like, what are those?
God, that's such a good idea to buy hip sneakers.
Adidas,
there's
something like
definitely
that?
Eagle sneakers out there. She would love them.
Get her some socks.
She's not an Eagles fan.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I mean,
I think it's a great idea. Thank you, EJ Stewart, Manny Rodriguez. Thank you to Gordon Damer's here and Rami Levy, who filled in today for Andrew Kaplan, who we're thinking about and his entire family, along with everyone.